Welcome to, I guess, what is something of a surprise episode of the Hard Rock Show tonight. I'm Andrew.
I'm Dave. Happy Wednesday 13 day.
Tim. That's true.
Yes, It is true. Well done, Dave. Actually got the top one and everything. You thought this one through. Well done.
I planned ahead.
Apologies all out there for the complete lack of social media promotion this week, but we figured, fuck it, we'll go live anyway and do the usual. So here's what you're in for. Tonight we're going to review the latest from Destruction, Treat, and Atomic Riot. That'll be Tim and myself. Dave and myself will go back and revisit a classic from AC/DC, so that'll be coming up very, very soon. We're going to talk about new singles from Bullet for Valentine, The Warning, Smokestack Rhino, A Swift Farewell, and Pink Floyd. We're going to be discussing a little bit on one of Dave's favorite bands in Standard Cruise and backing tracks there. That's going to be something that's going to be interesting. And we'll also touch on the untimely and sad passing of Ken West, who was the founder of The Big Day Up. We'll do the all usual stuff, the bin, the gig plug, all that kind of stuff coming up as well. If you are watching on Instagram, remember the comments don't come through on that platform. So if you want to leave a comment, get involved on a different platform. But otherwise, give us your thoughts as we go along. We look forward to it. Make sure you are following, doing all the usual stuff. So now check out the description box for us to follow us. Find us on your preferred social media platform and keep up to date with us there. Like, follow, subscribe, share, comment, interact with us. It's the best way to make sure you don't miss anything that we're doing. And, of course, a big thank you to our fantastic sponsors in Squidding, Scrimping, Alt, Cult, and Rockstar Finance. Their details, just like ours, are in the description box. Anything you can do on social, like, comment, share, all the usual stuff, helps them out as well, which is a great help to us here at the show. And if you'd like to help us out more directly, check out our Patreon page for more information on just how to do that. That, again, is in the description box. All the usual business bullshit out of the way. We've got some people jumping into the comments, which is great. But let's do the rounds. And, Dave, how you going this week?
Yeah, I'm good. Been busy, been really busy. I was off last week on the stream. Had the week from hell at work because we had so much stuff we had to get done by last Friday, which we managed to do because I'm a champion. And 4 out of the 5 nights, my kids had school concerts that they had to perform in. And performing on stage isn't something that either of them were really big on a few years ago. And they both nailed it. I am so proud. Jade just lit up the stage. I was amazed. She did so well. I'm looking forward to that. They professionally filmed it on DVD. So we'll get that next term. I'm looking forward to seeing it again. And my son, it's his first time on stage ever because lockdown the last 2 years. He's in grade 2. So no prep performance, no one performance. So this is his first time. And had a few hurdles he had to get through, but he went up there and he did it with a smile on his face and ended up front and center. So I'm so proud of both of them. So we took them to the pancake parlor last night for tea. At the treat. They got to have ice cream for dinner, which doesn't happen very often, but they deserved it. But
nice.
Pancake parlor is always cool. And school holidays are on now, so we went to the drive-in a couple of days ago, saw Sonic 2, which is really good, actually. Okay. Yeah, we saw the first one a little while ago. And apart from that, I just been listening to music and watching wrestling. Didn't watch WrestleMania, but I watched the Hall of Fame induction. And seeing The Undertaker get inducted, I've been a fan for like 24, 25 years. So most of my life. You see, he's been doing interviews recently, and it's just interesting stories. But when you see him up there, just as Mark Calloway, it's kind of good just to know he's not an asshole because he's had the gimmick all his career, and you've invested so much of your time being a fan, and the gimmick goes away, and there's a decent man behind it. And I thought that was really cool. Great speech. I went for like 40 minutes, and it was just good to hear some stories. Yeah. But apart from that, life is good.
Cool. How about you, Tim? How's your life going this week?
Not nearly as eventful as Dave.
Yeah.
I've pretty much just been going to work and then coming home and playing Xbox and then rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Got a gig on Friday, which is cool.
Yep, you do.
Orange playing the Aftershocks at Bendigo. Which would be cool. So, come down if you're not doing anything on Good Friday, which, I mean, everything's closed, so you shouldn't be doing anything.
That's true.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, cool. My life's not nearly as eventful as Dave's either. It's more of the same, rinse and repeat as always. That said, we're hoping that if everything goes to plan, I'm kind of on a bit of a COVID watch at the moment. We'll see what happens in that regard. But just hoping I've dodged it once again. But the we're hoping to go and see our daughter moved into a house last weekend, so hoping to go and spend some Good Friday time down there, do a bit of a family thing. What else have we got? That's about what's coming up. Last night we had a fun interview though, didn't we, Tim? So Nikki and myself did an interview with Tim and Mike from Arcane Saints. They'll be coming very, very soon, along with a review we filmed prior to this stream on the new Arcane Saints album. So that's all coming together in the new sort of launch of the Deep Cuts. That's the kind of stuff I'm looking forward to at the moment. There's just the usual things going on, just getting stuff ready for TV and for online production, doing stuff prep for streams and that. But yeah, settling into a bit of a new, I had to change my rhythm a bit because work's just nuts. And it seems to be working so far so good. So fingers crossed it'll, knock on wood, that it'll keep working that way for me. But so far, so good. Everyone's happy, healthy, and well as far as we know right now. We'll see what happens over the next sort of, 24 to 48 to 36 hours and see how it shakes out. Anyway, let's get into it. Let's get some say hi to people because I got some comments here. So Rowan over on YouTube saying, giving us the horns as always. Good to see you, buddy. Nicole, howdy all. Good to see you again, Nicole. Well, Sean. Over on Facebook is saying, hey guys, hope you're all well. Yes, we are. Good to see you, buddy. I did get your text. I'm sorry I haven't gotten back to that. It's fucking one of those things I just haven't gotten around to. And Tom has gone, hey guys, nice surprise on my Wednesday morning. Good to see you again, buddy. Hope you're keeping well over there. Alrighty. Everything we're going to talk about music-wise is going to be linked in the description box. We're also going to share it in the comments as well as we go through, whether you're watching on, so you can hit those links directly from Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, if I'm correct. The other platforms like Instagram don't quite do the same thing, but you get to work it all out as we go through. Alrighty, let's do the first single for tonight because we're going to do the order a bit different. We'll do the classic review earlier on because Dave's going to run away after that. But Dave is ready to talk about the singles and the discussion points tonight. So let's start with the new single. Nikki, I know you're watching. This one's for you. This is the new single from Bullet for My Valentine. It's called Omen. It's in the description box. It's in the comments now. So go and check it out. Bullet for My Valentine, Omen, and let us know what you think of this one. So let's do the rounds on this one. And Tim, let's start with you. How'd you go with it?
It's a Bullet for My Valentine single.
Yep.
That's pretty much it. It's probably going to open the album, if not be track 3, because that's what they do. It's probably going to be the best song on the album, and then it's going to fall apart after that. It sounds like it was released in 2011, which is kind of sad because they're still the same band that they were when they were 19. Yeah, like I've seen these guys twice.
Yeah.
Now, the first time I saw them, it was a double headline with Bring Me the Horizon.
Okay.
And, this was probably 2009, 2010 or so. And Bring Me the Horizon are a completely different band and a much bigger band and totally evolved. And these guys are doing the exact same thing. So, and to be honest, it was one of those things where it's just like, if you like Bullet for My Valentine, the previous songs, you probably like this one. If not, it's not going to change your mind because, again, it's the exact same song they've always released.
Okay. So before we get Dave's thoughts, I want to see if this changes Tim's perspective in any way, shape, or form. All right, so this single is one of 5 new tracks set to be released on the upcoming deluxe edition of their self-titled album from last year. This was recorded last year at the same time as the rest of the album. These tracks were left off in order to make the album sort of more cohesive and flow. These are the sort of more different tracks, these 5, to do something different later on. Yeah, that's kind of thing. Does that change all these things?
It's a 90s Swedish death metal riff with a boy band vocal chorus.
That'll do it as well.
Wash, rinse, repeat.
Yeah, this is true.
At the gates with Justin Timberlake doing vocals.
Oh, Nikki, I want to see you jump in on fire for that one. Let's see how that one goes with Nikki.
No, but to be fair, like, if you like this, like, go listen to At the Gates and Dark Tranquility. Like, they're much better bands.
Fair enough.
In Flames, Dissection, like, kick the shit out of these guys, but play very similar music.
Okay.
Necrophagia.
Cool. Yeah.
Tons of them. Darkest.
Yeah. there'd be an interesting battle episode in that, I reckon, down the line. Just that as a theme. Make a note.
Oh, it'd be like when we did the English and Australian ones. It was like very one-sided.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
Like Led Zeppelin versus.
What was that?
It's like because I just remember it was like Led Zeppelin versus Rose Tattoo.
Yeah. All right, Dave, how'd you go?
Yeah, it would be fun to trigger the hell out of Nikki and say this band sucks and this is fucking terrible. But I really liked their album last year, their self-titled one, because it made me pay a lot more attention to this band than I had previously. What I'd heard, I have to disagree with Tim. They have quite progressed a lot from what I heard on that album last year.
Okay,
I thought that was really diverse with what they were doing compared to the old, like, just flat-out screamo shit. I was never paid that much attention, but last year, self-titled album, it was good. And I thought this was a good follow-up to it. It wasn't as good as the album, but I thought this was an interesting song. But I looked up coming releases, and as you mentioned, they don't have a new album coming. They got an extended version, so I can kind of understand why this was left off, because it is a bit different to what they're doing on their newest album. But I thought this was pretty good. Good shifts between light and shade, clean and harsh, and interesting lyrics. I think that's what got me with the album. Some of the brutal honesty and just some of the images that they conjured up. It was. I haven't listened to it for a while, but from what I remember, there was not that style of music doesn't always grab me, and there was something about the album that I thought was really cool. So, I thought this was a pretty cool follow-up. So, I'll give the new tracks a listen when they release the extended version. If not, I'll just give the last year's version a listen, because that was pretty cool.
Cool. It's funny you mentioned lyrics, because I'm just going to go lead in with a bit of a, how you have those misheard lyrics thing going on. And, it's called a bit the Omen lies. Well, there's a part about you can't trust the words of the Omen, or it lies and all sorts of stuff. And watching the reboot from years ago now of Battlestar Galactica, and there's a character who's one of the bad guys, and they're called Leoben. And so when you can't trust the words of the Omen, I'm going, you can't trust the words of Leoben. So it's like just this weird fucking bullshit sci-fi segue, but that was something that was funny as fuck when I was listening to it. Obviously, I knew it wasn't that, but it was just, how your mind makes links because of what you're doing at different times. This was there for me straight away. So there's one for the sci-fi geeks. But this one, to me, it's a bit of a different one at the start, especially. It's a bit darker than previous, like what was on the album, I guess, overall. But when the riff kicks in, it feels like, the band. I thought there was also some neat little electronic touches in this one too, not just at the start, but also sort of move through. I was curious how Dave would go with that, but it didn't seem to bother you as much as I thought.
Kind of ignored that part, I guess.
That's the thing. Like Scream Empire was the heavier album. It sounds like something off that.
Yeah, cool.
This could have just gone. This could have just replaced "I Am the Storm."
Okay. Yeah. All right. Fair enough. I thought the chorus was cool in this. It's pretty catchy and it feels like the band in full swing like that. When you hear the chorus, it's like, okay, this is a Bullet for My Valentine song for me. That was the moment that really did make it sound like that. But I thought, like Dave, I can see why it wasn't on the album, but it does make sense to put on the deluxe edition coming out later this year. But I thought, generally speaking, it's got a catchy hook. It's got good groove, good energy. So, it's worth a spin. I completely agree about it being left off the album, but as a standalone little addition, I think that's not a bad little thing. And it's one of those ones that I think it's one of those tracks, like Tim said, it'll make the fan base happy. It won't drag anyone new to the band, but I think if you're a fan, it should make you pretty happy. I thought it was pretty cool overall. Do have some comments on this one. Gear from Viking Queen has saying hello, and also in the comments above put the link to their new single as well. So we'll be checking that out and talking about that, I dare say, next week as well. So thank you for sharing that. What else? Nicole is having a good chuckle, but she agrees with Tim. So there you go. one for Team Tim.
There are a few bands that I have a dislike for.
Yeah.
and Bullet for My Valentine would be one of them.
Yeah. I'm just going through.
Like when Bullet for My Valentine and Five Finger Death Punch comes on, That's when I turned into like the biggest elitist metalhead of all time.
I'm looking forward to this because Five Finger have 2 albums coming out this year. I dare say we'll review at least one of them.
I know. Just when you think 2022 can't get worse.
Myself and my daughter would beg to disagree with you, but anyway. Alrighty. So, what do we got here? Nikki's gone. I'm here, Mister. So there we go. We'll get through the comments there. Dean says, "Hey guys, hope all is well, everyone. Yes, we're all. Hope you're keeping well over there too, mate. Good to have you here. Thank you for jumping in." Nikki's having a good chuckle though, and she says, "Bullet for my Valentine for life." There we go. There's a bit of a Nikki, and you say you don't watch wrestling. Anyway.
Like I said, I've seen them twice.
Yeah.
Granted, one of them I was waiting for another band to sound like.
Yeah. Fair enough. But when you said the last comment, she's gone, you just kicked my ovaries. So there you go. About Bullet and Five Finger and stuff. But no.
5 fingering ovary.
And what was that, Dave?
5 fingering ovary.
5 finger ovary.
Oh, God. This is going to get very dark very quickly, isn't it? We're going to have a fun one. But Nicole is still on Team Tim saying, "I'm hearing you, Tim." So there we go. We're getting a few ones there. All right. As always, we change the pace. We change gears. We do a lot of different things. And next one up is definitely one of those. So let's change gears. And here we go. Nikki's gone, yeah, I like Five Finger as well. So there we go. We'll get to those albums when they come out. What else? So The Warning is next with their new single Money, which is now in the description box. It's in the comments. We'll go to Dave on this one first, but just quickly, this is their first release since their 2021 Mayday EP from the Mexican trio of sisters. From the band, this song aims to shine a light on the darkness surrounding widespread corruption and greed, as well as the crippling effects it can have on society. When we allow power and profit to take control over our lives, our natural human tendencies like feeling empathy and compassion for one another become lost and forgotten. This band initially rose to prominence a few years ago, courtesy of a ripping cover of Enter Sandman. And we've also had quite a few comments lately about this band on YouTube, going back to one of their previous songs, actually. So it's been, a bit of serendipity about someone's been commenting and plugging these guys a lot. They drop a new single, and now we're going to get a chance to talk about that. So hopefully, forget the name of the person posting a lot, but hopefully you tune into this one and you like what we have to say. But maybe you won't. Let's go to Dave first. And if you want to check it out at home, it's in the description box in the comments. Go for it, Dave.
Okay. Now, we throw the word cool around a lot, but the best way to describe this is cool. It's a cool song.
Nice.
There's lots of swing, lots of attitude. It's heavy when it needs to be. The drums give it a hell of a lot of punch, and the vocals are really good. There's great lyrics, and the riff in the chorus is killer. I like this band. This is a rock band that actually rocks, and I was impressed. I went through their Spotify. I gave some of their earlier songs a listen, like Choke and Evolve, and they're good as well. Good tunes, good band. I'm interested to hear a lot more from these girls. Yeah, it impressed me. The Enter Sandman cover, I gave that a listen, and I was like, yeah, okay, I'll stick to their original stuff. But it wasn't bad. But their original stuff really, really stands out. Give it a listen.
Nice. How about you, Tim?
Yeah, much the same. I think you hit the nail on the head when you said cool. There's a cool factor here that's hard to replicate. I think it swings really hard. And like from the start too, like it just gets better as it goes along too, and it drags you in a little bit. Vocals really the standout as well. It's really got a great tone to the voice as well. So this is a very, very good track. I'd love to look at. I didn't go and listen to the other stuff, so I'm gonna have to do that as well. Yeah.
For me, this is kind of like what I wish Stonefield had moved into doing. Like after the first EP, when you had, Walking Through the Clover and that, this is what I wish Stonefield had moved into doing. What they do is cool, don't get me wrong. This is what I was hoping for. So, yeah, that cool factor is definitely a thing on this one. But also, yeah, the groove, the swing on this is fucking just, the energy is great. This leans into the bass and to the groove really nicely, this song. It's another track with a great hook, great lyrics. It's a good little story, this one. It's funny when you get a statement from a band, they say, oh, this song is about this, and then you sit there and listen to it and go, I kind of get it. This one, you get it. Like, it makes perfect sense. Like, they've nailed that aspect really, really well. Great energy. When the riff kicks in, fuck, it goes off. Like, it just gets you going. It's one of those songs that'll pump you up very, very quickly. It's very, very cool. And this, it's got a bit of edge to it. It gets stuck in your head, but this, it's a bit of a builder too. Like it goes to a nice crescendo toward the end of the song. And there's also subtly these little cash register touches in it, which is just a really little bit of subtle ear candy to put into a new single. I thought that was just a really, I guess, showed the level of attention to detail and care they put into this song and choosing this one to be released. For me, it was a really neat trick. I haven't checked out heaps from this band, but the vocals are fucking stunning. So I want to go and hear a lot more. If you like a good solid rock song with melody and groove, got to check this one out too. Also on the vocals, the gang vocals on this were really cool as well. It wasn't just the lead, the gang vocals really brought something to this song too. So yeah, check that one out and let us know what you think out there, people. We're going back to Five Finger for a second. Nikki was disagreeing with Nicole on YouTube going, no. So there's your Darth Vader moment there. All right, what else we got here? All right, Nicole. Okay, back and forth now. Nicole says, I love the heavy side of Five Finger Death Punch. Okay, well, that'll be an interesting one later on.
Well,
okay,
that's the thing. They've got some decent riffs, but then they get all Five Finger Death Punch.
I like how that's the description you've got there. That makes sense, though. I do understand. I know what you mean. I do get it. What have we got here? Tony's gone. Megadeth will be a support band for Five Finger Death Punch. What the fuck? At least would be an early exit from the show to beat the crowd. All right, that's from Tony. Thanks for joining us there and leaving that one. I didn't know that.
Well, it's all about who buys the tickets, man.
Well, that is true.
If Five Finger Death Punch is selling more tickets than they're headlining.
No, well, that's actually... Yeah, pretty straightforward, isn't it? Not much to argue with in that one. Yeah, good point, Tim. Here we go. Nicole says, great voice. Was listening to them today. Nice as well there too. And Darren, good to see you over on YouTube. It's going, I like this cool rock and groove, another three-piece band that rocks. So, yes, that's cool. It's funny we didn't have this one to hand when we did our little Power Trio bands episode. Would be good to have had that one there as well. Here we go. Dean's gone. I saw AC/DC as part of the reviews. I might help you out. Yes, please do, man. Jump in, feel free. We love your insight and the depth of information you bring to things like that. He knows about all details. Even though I didn't plug this thing on social, I did let the Patreon crowd know that this was coming. So there we go. We'll see what happens with that one. Alrighty, got a couple of singles to go. There's a bonus one tonight as well, but we'll get to that one later on. For now, let's go to another Australian band. Time to go back to home turf. This is the latest from Smokestack Rhino with the new single Woolamai. It's a few weeks old now as we do this one. I was only aware of it through a social media post last week or something. So it's been out for a few weeks. I only just recently found it myself. But let's go to Tim first on this one. Before I do, this is named after the rolling waves of the beach of Woolamai. It's the third of a recent string of singles after a change in lineup. Am I correct, Tim? This is the first new music since the lineup change?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. I don't know, but it's an interesting one to sort of take in. How'd you go with it, Tim?
I thought this was very good. This is a very nice, like smoky, bluesy kind of rock song with a nice... you can see why they called this Woolamai, because it's got that kind of rolling feel to it.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit, it's just very smooth and cool. It's like a train rolling on.
Nice.
With a great chorus. There's been a few tracks about like this lately about regional Australian places, and I always get a nice little rush of nostalgia and memories to go with it. So I like this little trend that's happening. So I think it's a very cool track.
Nice. Cool. How about you, Dave?
Yeah, this was great. I mean, I've lost count of how many times I've seen this band live between the Elephant and Wheelbarrow and Cherry Bar back a few years ago. But when this first came out, I wouldn't have picked it as Smokestack Rhino. It's different, but it's a good job. I like their new sound and what they're doing with it. I thought, you could, once you know it's them, you can see some of the things that you're familiar with. But yeah, they're definitely changed, and I think it's a good change. I got a bit of a Black Sabbath vibe, early Black Sabbath when they were still very blues based with the riff-driven stuff, like on the first album. And this would be a good track for just a fire pit. And as Tim mentioned, like at the beach. So take over the beach, set up a fire, get some beers, play this track, just enjoy life. Good stuff.
Yeah. That's a really good way to put it, actually, Dave. I don't think I can top that one. That's a really good way to sum it up. I think one of the last ones we played of these guys on the TV broadcast was Mrs. Foley's Baby Boy. And this is a fair way removed from that song It's they're different worlds now. But so I'm curious. I haven't checked out the other two singles. I should, but I'm curious as to where they're sort of moving direction-wise and stuff. Or if this is just an outlier, or if this is where they're sort of moving towards next. Either way, this is good. It's quite the emotive little track. This one. There's a more of a smoldering kind of rock song. There's some bite in it though. It builds really nicely. There's some nice. I thought I get the classic rock vibe of things like Zeppelin, Sabbath, all that kind of stuff. There's a bit of that in there as well, with the sort of newer side of things moving a bit more to the stone rock. It's to do with the vocals and that kind of hypnotic rolling effect that's been mentioned a couple of times now, but the way that sort of Woolamai, that there's this echo and rolling effect, which is really well done in it too. It's got great groove again. The tones are fantastic. I thought the tones really suited the style of music really, really well. I thought they did a great job with that. It's got some grit, but it's still nice and warm. The vocals, the way that's done, just stands out. It's a different gear change as always with these little singles, but it was a welcome sort of change too. When you listen to these tracks back to back, this one really does just stand out. If you want something a bit more laid back, like Dave said, go down to the beach, have the fire pit and some brews, then this is the one to definitely go and check out. It's got this haunting little ability to stay with you, this track. I think that once you've heard it once, it will definitely sort of get stuck in your head and stay there. So this is very, very cool. Another good track from these guys. I'm looking forward to seeing what comes next from these guys, which will be nice. Dean's gone, great band, great track. Got to see him live. Yes, that's very true as well. And Roy, good to see you. Saying g'day, lads. So good to see you, Roy. Thank you for joining us tonight. Hopefully you like what you see in this one. Time for another Australian band, and this one probably a bit out of the box for us, but hey, let's have some fun. That's what we'd like to do. We'd like to try and experiment a little bit. So in the comments, in the description box, you're going to find the latest from A Swift Farewell, which is a song called Stressed Out. It features Clay J. Gladstone. It's a collaborative effort. This one, what have we got? This is not a band we've covered on the show in any way, shape, or form before, from what I can recall. It's the latest from a Sydney band, and like I said, has Clay J. Gladstone. This is a pop-punk collaboration kind of thing, and this song is about expressing your emotions instead of burying them, and it's meant to show their darker side all in all on this one. But yeah, this is a bit different, but yeah, what do we think of it? Let's go to you first, Dave.
Yeah, as it went on, it changes and shifts gears, and I wasn't really sure. I was like, okay, I'm in this mind, like, okay, we're here. I wasn't sure if it was pop or emo rock, but probably a hybrid of both. You said pop punk and I don't know what you said, but yeah, there's a few different styles here. And it starts out polished and clean, then it has its harsh moments throughout. But everything comes together really nicely, and everything kind of suits each other. It's a good little journey for 4 minutes. And the change made it interesting, and the lyrics really popped out. It was well done, and the story was quite interesting. So, yeah, interesting song.
Okay. Is this you being a bit more diplomatic, is it there, Dave?
I liked it. It's not my style of music, but it wasn't objectionable or anything. But yeah, I thought it was done really well.
Okay, cool. So, Tim, this out of the three of us, I'm not sure. I might be way off base, but I feel like this might be in your wheelhouse more than Dave's and myself. But if I'm wrong, please feel free to correct me. What did you think of it?
I think it's just... It sits in that little awful spot where it's too poppy, but also not poppy enough to be a guilty pleasure.
Okay, yeah, I get what you mean. I can hear that. Yep.
Like it's it's too poppy to be a punk song, and at the same time, there's just a total yelling from this dude at the back that just completely doesn't fit. Sounds like if you like this, then go listen to Machine Gun Kelly. Frankly,
it's yeah, fair enough. That's been mentioned a couple of times in bits and pieces I've seen about it.
So like it's very much like a Machine Gun Kelly pop song. Yeah.
Okay. Now it's a bit of a gear change for us, and we like to do different things and explore different stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that and trying to broaden your horizons. For me, this is one of those ones where I'm not convinced it would be as good as what Red Hook or Yours Truly do in a day-to-day thing. But at the same time, if you're a fan of those two artists, I think you'll find something in this to enjoy. It certainly has that sort of more modern kind of punky vibe to it. I think that there is some bite to it, with the more aggressive stuff, but the hook in the chorus is very, very catchy. Very, very catchy. It is one of those songs that you can imagine going very well on radio very, very quickly. It's not the world's most original track, but I think it's well executed. I think it's well done. The vocals, I thought her vocals were really nice on this one too, for the style of music in particular. I thought she did a great job. I think there's some fun energy to it. It's got that in the chorus, the hook in particular, the groove that goes along that is very nice. But there's a bit of a darkness in there too. So they did, the whole thing about expressing your emotion. It does. The lyrics are good. They tell the story in that regard. But also there's some emotive changes in the song that echo the sentiment being expressed in the lyrics. I thought it was a nice touch there. I thought there was an interesting little breakdown in this toward the end of the song. It has all you want from this sort of style of music if you're a fan of it. I thought the collaboration worked pretty well for mine. I'm not familiar. I'm a little bit curious, but at the same time, probably not curious enough to go and divert myself away from other things that I'm desperate to check. I don't think it gets your attention, but I'm not sure it does enough to really stay with you longer than if you're not listening to it, kind of thing. If while you listen to it, it'll stay there, but when you stop listening to it, it'll blend in with a lot of other songs in the same style. I don't know. What about you?
Like, it reminds me of I want to say 2006 Avril Lavigne, where it sort of became less cool to be pop punk. So Avril Lavigne tried to be the pop singer.
Yeah. Yep. Fair
and
enough.
Then tried to totally it reminds me of that.
Okay.
The Veronicas are heavier than this.
Yeah, there's a point there for sure. Yep.
And if the Veronicas were too poppy for you, then this isn't gonna do it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I said, it is catchy. There is potential for it to be a guilty pleasure for someone. But like I said, I think it sits in that really bad spot where it's trying to toe the line in between being a pop thing and a pop punk thing, and it just does neither well.
Fair enough. No, that's all good. Yeah, it's
like when you're playing footy and you get caught between passing and shooting, and in the end you just kick it to the fullback.
Yeah, yeah. Dave's sitting there going, "What the fuck?"
That's what they did.
No, I think that's a good point. Probably should have leaned more one way or the other, but I think still it's a good enough song. I'll get some comments on this one here. What do we got here? Nicole said, very Avril Lavigne. There you go. They look like very talented 14-year-olds. Not my bag, but I wouldn't change the channel. So there we go. Nicole's gone, I've never heard Machine Gun Kelly. Haven't done that myself either. Nikki's gone here, totes off topic. Did you review Metal Lord's Netflix movie? It's the fucking Andrew Brown, Jimmy Vanzino type of film. Expected so much and found it meh. Okay, I haven't watched it, so I can't speak to that.
I'll watch it this weekend.
I've heard similar things about that, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, she's referencing it to me and Jimmy banging on about Night Flight Orchestra, the hyper thing. So she didn't get the hype. Have you heard anything much about it, Dave, at all? Or I know it's out, but I haven't.
Some people have said it's pretty good, and I've seen the preview. It looks fun. Showed my kids the preview, and Rory was laughing at the Cross of the Crown reference. Some dude got the metal makeup on. He walks out some shop, and the guy goes, "Get back here, Krusty the Clown."
Rightio.
Bad enough to be a guilty pleasure, I reckon.
All right. Well, we'll have to check it out at some point if we can. I'm not sure. I don't have a lot of time to sit down and watch things these days, but I'll give it a shot if I can. All right, last single, and this one's a bonus one this week, and it's a well worth bonus sort of territory. We don't need to sort of do the four, but we'll do a fifth one this week, and this is the new one from Pink Floyd of all bands. It's in the comments in the description box. This is Pink Floyd with the new single "Hey Hey Rise Up." I'm not going to try and bother pronouncing the name. It's got a singer from a band called Boombox out of Ukraine. I'm not even going to try and pronounce the name. From all in all, this is the band's first new music in nearly 30 years from Pink Floyd. So as that being the point of reference, they're an iconic band releasing a brand new song, or the first new music since Division Bell in 94 or whatever it was that came out. So it's been a while. This is being released to raise funds for charity, for obviously to do with things in Ukraine. And this was Dave Gilmour's brainchild, put together with Floyd drummer Nick Mason, bassist Guy Pratt, and keyboardist Nitin Sawhney. It features the vocal of Andriy something or other from the Ukrainian band Boombox. So yeah, let's see how this one went. Who went first last time? I forget now. Let's go to Tim first. Anyway.
All right, now this makes much more sense now that I've heard that background.
Okay, yeah. It is one that needs a bit of background.
Originally I was like, oh, Pink Floyd just transformed to late night SBS.
That's a good point. I'll pay that.
This is the sort of music you hear at like ethnic dance parties, with a lot of very old people. I've been to those parties. Yeah, shout out to my Mauritians out there.
Yes.
Look, it's interesting that when you say that even this couldn't get Gilmore and
Roger Waters.
Like his name. Yeah, Roger Waters together, because this is right up Roger Waters' alley.
True.
And Roger Waters has been a left-wing hero for decades now, and well, I'm not going to go there. But yeah, look, it's for a good cause. It's got a pretty banging solo in it. But yeah, I did need the context, because without the context, it was just like, oh, okay, wasn't expecting that.
It's different.
Good to see Nick Mason back playing. Nick Mason's a champion. Love that dude.
Yep. All right. Is that all you wanted to say there, Tim?
Yeah.
Dave, how about you? How'd you go with it?
Yeah, I last Friday at work said to my mate, "Hey, Pink Floyd have a new song out." He's like, "Why?"
Yeah.
Okay. Like it's called "Hey Hey Rise Up." It's like, that sounds really positive for a Pink Floyd song.
Well,
but you can't understand the word the lyrics are saying, so
yeah,
it could be depressing as hell. The comment sections online went nuts when this went out. It's not a reunion. It's not a lost track. It's not going to be their old stuff. Simply a song to raise some awareness, a charity. Enjoy it for what it is. It's always cool to hear some David Gilmour guitar tone and some solo playing. It's worth a listen, but I'm going to forget about it by next week probably. Yeah. But if they can achieve their goal and raise some awareness or charity or whatever they're aiming to do, then that's cool. But yeah, as a song, it's all right.
Yeah. It does fall firmly into what Tim called before, like the world music territory. It's got the whole, it's all in Ukrainian. You can't understand a fucking word what's going on unless you're from the region or have heritage there or someone's taught you or whatever. I didn't mind it. It's a weird song. It's different. I think, it's a bit of my, I used to listen to a bit of world music and that before and having traveled through Europe a bit. I don't mind this kind of stuff. I like folky kind of things. So this was, it wasn't horrible by any stretch. I didn't mind the song. It's not something I'm going to go to. It's not like it's not meant to be the next big Pink Floyd song where they something come out and go swinging for the fences. This is, for what it is, for a charity fundraising and awareness raising song. Fuck, you couldn't ask for better, honestly. Like it's someone singing in Ukraine in support of Ukraine with Dave Gilmour playing solos. What the fuck else do you want from this kind of project? It is funny to see how negative some of the commentary has been around it, because it is for charity. That's what I find remarkable about people and their salt online. It's slow, it's dated, it's folksy, it's got that kind of stuff. But I liked the way the guitar and the synth worked against that though. So the vocal was definitely there, along with the way that was played off with in the guitar work and the synth was cool. And it's always a good day to get new Dave Gilmour solos. I mean, despite what you might think of the song itself, Dave Gilmour is a fucking beast on the guitar, and this song shows that he's still got it as far as I'm concerned. Just the way his tone, you just hear it straight away. It is something different. It isn't our usual territory at all, but I figured we throw it in there this week because it is, Pink Floyd. Yeah, I think it serves its purpose. It'll raise awareness. I don't know how long for, because the media and music, churn and burn cycle will kick this one out pretty quickly. But I hope it does do what it's supposed to do. I think, all credit to those involved that, have put this together. And they did it in about 2 weeks. Pink Floyd put a new song out in about 2 weeks. That's saying something. So credit where due for what it is. And hopefully people can sort of take it for what it is in the spirit that it's meant, as opposed to, whatever else they're putting in there as well. But I didn't mind it. For what it is, I think it's well done, well put together. So take of that what you will. Roy's saying late night SBS, so good. Nicole says, never been a big fan, but I can't deny the musicianship. There we go. And Nikki goes, Tim, you redeemed your over a kick with late night SBS metaphor. So there you go. So that's more about the late night SBS metaphor than the song itself. So I think that about tells us all we need to know about that right there. Here we go. Belle, good to see you again. She's gone good on Pink Floyd for dusting off their gear for a good cause. And that, please keep that in mind, folks. I do like to have that as the bottom line of it all. So yes, good to see you, Belle. Thank you for joining us tonight as well. Alrighty, quick little gig plug before we move on to the next one. So in the comments now, you're going to see this gig, which is one, Tim, that you mentioned before at the top of the show. Good Friday, worthy cause. This is a charity event for Thinking of You at the Bendigo Hotel. This is the Aftershockers. They're playing with Eat the Damn Orange, Rautism, Katana Cartel, and the Cigarillos. The Aftershockers have a huge set planned, playing covers from Diamond Head, Thin Lizzy, Megadeth, Metallica, Judas Priest, Black Sabbath, Kiss, Ozzy Osbourne, ZZ Top, Motorhead, Guns N' Roses, Foo Fighters, Dire Straits, Iron Maiden, Van Halen, and many more. So all proceeds to do with this gig go to charity. If you'd like to do more, you can. Everything you need to know is in the event link, which I've shared in the comments. So please do. If you want to get out and about and go to a gig, there's a pretty bloody good one there on Friday night, and you get to go and see Tim in one of his bands in Eat the Damn Orange as well as go and see Brendan, because we don't see much.
Yeah, I will be decked out in orange gear.
Yes,
I believe Aftershockers may be playing a song from South Park.
Ooh. I heard a little birdie tell me that certain guests from Eat the Damn Orange might get up and play with the Aftershockers as well.
That's definitely happening. Yeah. It's gonna be a good night.
Yeah.
We're getting there early, so by the time the end of the night, like who knows if we'll Yeah,
well, it'll be nice and loose by the end, I'm pretty sure.
It'll be very loose. Yeah.
It's a good gig. It's a good Friday night. It's for charity. So if you've got nothing to do, get on down, show some support. And if you can chip into charity, please do. So all the details, like I was saying in the comments. So please do go and check it out. I will try and remember to put that link into the description box when this thing goes to production for online video and audio consumption later on as well. Hopefully we'll remember that and not forget. What do we got? Nikki's gone, I'll be there, which is good. Roy says, Blues Fest, unfortunately. That's okay. We can't get to them all. Nicole says, great bands at a great venue. This is very, very true. But also Moose is saying, hey, guys, rock on. Good to see you here, buddy. Hope you're kicking well over there as well. All righty. Let's do the hot topic first. Let's do the one that we'll go to Dave first on this one. I'm not going to share a link to a video or anything. I don't think I need to. This is all inspired by the recent use of backing tracks by one band, known as Santa Cruz. Not that it's really the band anymore, is it, Dave?
No, not even close.
And Archie seems to have doubled down with some very interesting explanations as to the how and why. But Dave, you're the biggest expert on this band that we have at the show. So give us your thoughts and any background you feel like sharing on this one.
Okay. So for those who don't know, Santa Cruz were a massive band a few years ago. As far as I was concerned, they had 3 albums for their original lineup. First one was a good. Second and third were fucking fantastic. And then there was some shit. The singer got kicked off the tour bus because he was acting like a dick and he was drunk, and the band split. So all these years later, there's been 2 or 3 different attempts to reboot the band. And the third one was announced a couple of months ago after he recorded an album all by himself. And then they announced the gig at the Whiskey A Go-Go a month later. Now you're going to get a band together and perform a gig within a month. Okay. So I was skeptical but curious. Last Friday, I'm sitting out here. It can be done, but obviously it wasn't. So last Friday, I'm sitting out here, I'm checking through social media. Gigs happen. Like, okay, cool. So jumped on Setlist FM. Like, that's a fucking cool set list. Jumped on YouTube, and within like 30, 45 seconds of the first song, I was like, he's fucking miming. He's not even making any attempt to cover that. And there's other videos, and it's all through the whole show. And half the time, the drummer isn't they're like checking on him, and there's obvious backing tracks. But I figure, since we're talking about backing tracks, I'm going to pre-record my hot topics. So here we go.
Backing tracks in Santa Cruz.
If you can hear me.
In 2022, you would be kidding yourself if you think bands aren't using some form of backing tracks in live performances. Technology's there, so of course it's going to be used. Obviously, bands like Nightwish will be using a backing track. It's just not some concept album. There'll be some tracks that are taken directly from the album. You know, it helps to tell the story. If it's there to fill out the sound, then it can be cool. The musicians on stage doing most of the performances, and then additional instrumentation and sounds to bring the song across. The part that you pay money for is the live performances, which, you know, in Nightwish, five people on stage playing the instruments, performing live. You get the extra, the backing track, the orchestra, whatever. It really comes down to how it's being used. You know, we all know these days Paul Stanley has a vocal track tape, but he's also got a live mic. The track is there as a backup, and taking his age into account, it's going to be nights where he's going to be off. I can excuse that, considering his age. As far as Santa Cruz goes, Archie isn't an old man with a blown-out voice. There were moments in that show where it was painfully obvious they were using a backing track because he made zero attempt to sing. It wasn't just the backing track. It sounded like they were literally just playing a CD. It wasn't just vocals. You could hear what you would hear on the album. I would be pissed if I paid money for that. I could stay home and listen to the CD. A live gig isn't a pose for Instagram likes. And it wasn't just the obvious backing tracks. The drummer was way out, and the guitarist appeared to know parts of the songs. I've seen better rehearsal videos. It's like the band members were walking back to the drummer to remind him what to play next. More rehearsal, guys. Come on. And the sad part is there are more people talking about Santa Cruz now than when they were actually a really good band. It's easier to tear something down than it is to build something up, which is sad. What's also sad is Archie has tried to claim that this was done on purpose for publicity. Not all publicity is good, especially now he's jumped on Facebook, shown the video of what he plays live and what the backing track is. You know, if you were done on purpose, you wouldn't have to try and justify this shit. And you can't really pull a stunt like this and not expect to be crucified, especially at this point in the Santa Cruz career. One guy left. After 3 or 4 new lineups and a bunch of misfires, the name Santa Cruz has sadly become a joke, which is really sad because, you know, the first 3 albums with the original lineup were brilliant. But sadly, bands come and bands go, and I don't think Santa Cruz is going to recover from this. They were my favorite band at one stage, but personally, I'm done. And you know, it's not like we're short of other bands to listen to. There are plenty of bands playing music in this style. You know, Eclipse, Pete, Garish and the Chronicles, Crash Diet, Reckless Love, Kiss and Dynamite, Crazy Licks. Not short of things to listen to. But yeah, you know, as far as backing tracks go, I think they're here to stay, and it's a fact of life now. I prefer the way things were in the 70s. I prefer physical media, but technology's there and it ain't going back. Right now, it's just a matter of how it's used and whether you're going to get out there and give the best performance you can, and hopefully not rely too much on technology because, you know, I prefer the occasional fuck up.
That is really fucking awkward. I would hate to be on stage doing that shit.
Dave, the best part was you sitting there holding up and just taking a drink. Like, that was amazing. That is one of the best moments we've had ever. That was perfect. I don't know if we can top that, Tim.
No, we can't. We should just go home.
Yeah, that's done. Pack it in. Just do the whole thing as I'll pre-record something and put it up later on. How we're going to use a backing track version of ourselves for the deep cuts. Anyway, is there anything else you want to add to that, Dave? Or
Nah, I think I covered it and covered myself pretty well.
All you need to do is mime here and there, just to make it interesting. Just do the whole bad miming.
I was going to try, but you know, I forgot what I said. It was interesting.
Oh, it gets better. Okay. Tim, any thoughts you'd like to add to this?
The thing is, there are so many different options than what they had.
Yeah.
Which is, okay, so, like, I'm not opposed to it. Like, Metallica used a backing track for Enter Sandman when they play live.
Yeah. used well.
Okay, so the parts that I saw that they used backing track were like the higher pitched backing vocals and the synth parts, right? And their excuse was, well, when they fell out of time, it's because they fell out of time with the backing track because the backing track's to a click, and they're playing live. But bands who play with a backing track live will play with in-ear monitors to a click.
Yes.
That's why it all matches up. That's why all these bands have earpieces in, and that's why it keeps it in time.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of that. That's just part of being a professional musician is learning how to play to a click. And if you can't do that, you're not very good at your job. So that was the first option that they missed out on because they were too cheap to get a mixer with 4 headphones.
Yep.
The option number 2 was, I'm guessing some dude in the band played keys on the album. So if that was a guitar player, I would have just gone with one guitarist and for that particular song that went viral and just got them play keys. And because with keys you got 2 hands, you can fill out 2 octaves.
Yeah.
So that would have been option number 2. Option number 3 would have been the Mastodon option. You just sing it badly, but sing it passionately so nobody gives a shit.
Yeah.
Option number 4 would have been a looper pedal.
Yeah. Yep. Works too.
Option number 5 would have been, practice more, or just do without it. Don't do stuff in the studio that you can't do live. Don't write checks your ass can't cash.
Yep.
Yep. There were many options before getting to this level, and it came across bad. And also, Bon Jovi should send these guys a thank you letter.
Yes, he should.
Coming up for him.
Yes. See, Bon Jovi should use backing tracks. That makes sense. But
there comes a point too that where I also think like if you're charging money for that, like you shouldn't. If you can't do it anymore because you're too old, then you shouldn't be doing it.
Well, there's nothing wrong with bowing out if you're not up to it. It's okay.
I mean, you don't have the right to be a professional footballer until you're 60. I mean, if you're not good enough anymore, you're not good enough.
Yeah. A lot of careers in a lot of different fields end early because they're not up to the task anymore.
Yeah, exactly. And the problem is not inherently backing tracks. The problem is using them poorly. And
it's been
there were times when he just didn't even bother trying to sing.
Yeah,
exactly.
Obviously, you could see that there was a tape.
Yeah. This was like a real world rock version of Milli Vanilli meets Spinal Tap. It was so bizarre to see it play out the way that it's played out. I've got a lot to add apart from what you guys have said. I think in the right circumstances, backing tracks make perfect sense. But again, you're playing to a click. You're being a professional. We've booked gigs and bands ourselves where you've had these things being used, and so the bands and the audio guys know what they're doing and they make it work.
Oh, look, I said in the chat before, Witch Grinder.
Yeah, they use them.
If you listen to their albums, their songs would not be complete without all their synth and horror movie samples and all that work into the songs. So the way to tie it all together is you have the drummer controls the backing track. Yeah. Everyone plays to a click.
Yeah.
Everybody in the band has a little earpiece with a metronome inside it, and the band on the other side. Like 12-Foot Ninja do the exact same thing.
Yeah. Well, you
don't have to be a big band to do. It's not a particularly expensive thing to do.
That's the thing, isn't it? And that's where, how it gets to this point now. It's it's just a whole big fucking piss take of itself at this point in time. It's not going to go away. It's not going to get any better. And as Dave said, not all publicity is good publicity, especially. And this is going to bring into light Santa Cruz as the overall entity now. So the history of the band, the history of Archie, it's all going to come and be just dredged over again because people are going to bring it all up all over again. The options that Tim listed off were all much better options than the outcome we got here. This was the worst possible outcome. And I just think that, Yeah, how it got to that point is someone should have told someone a long time ago, just cut it out while you're ahead, because now you're fucking way behind and you're done. I don't think on the back of this, even if they were to release a new album in the next 6 months, anyone's going to have any interest in it.
Oh, no. They're not big enough to survive this.
And if this is the lengths you'll go to quote unquote have a publicity stunt when you're a band at this stage, you're done anyway. Like if you can't engage in social media without doing this kind of stuff, you're fucked. You can give it up like right now. So yeah, I think there's a whole lot of things went wrong with this one. I don't see any positive outcomes overall. I think in the right circumstances that we have listed, backing tracks are perfectly fine. But at the same time, there are caveats that, if you're not good enough or you're past it, there needs to be some, thought put into that as well. There's nothing wrong with doing what you can do. Just, if you can't do it live, that's a different thing. So yeah, I don't see the point for having even guide vocals. I'm not a huge fan of guide vocals because you just set your in-ear or the fallback up a bit better, and you don't need guide vocals to cover you either. I'd rather what Tim said, do a bad vocal, but do it with passion. At least people will. And live, people aren't going to care that much. They're usually half fucking cut anyway. So yeah, they want to sing along with you, not when they walked away from the mic and the tracks still going. It's like, why are you even trying to do this? It's like that footage is so bad. And it just speaks to a complete lack of professionalism. That's your first gig back. First gig.
Mm-hmm. This is what I understand. Like, it's their first gig back. It's not part of a tour, right?
Yeah.
No.
So they couldn't have just got a mate to just get a keyboard and stand behind the drummer?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And play that part?
Completely new lineup. Could have done anything.
Well, they could have done anything, and then they did nothing, and it all backfired spectacularly. Yeah, I don't know what else we can add to this. We've got some comments coming through. Here we go. Roy's gone, wasn't that Santa Cruz gig a shit show? Well, there we go. Yep. So, Dave, we're going to get some comments on you now. That's Nikki loving your same with Rowan saying, very good. Darren said that's gold, Dave. Nikki said, I also feel Eric announced Skid Row and did a show within a month, just saying it can be done. So there we go as well. That happened as well with Eric Cornwall.
Hey, man, Orange accepted a gig on 1 day's notice.
Yeah. Well,
fucking either Orange can do it. Santa Cruz can do it in a month.
Well, the thing is, your first gig with Arcane Saints was headline Cherry Bar. We covered this in an interview last night, and it was like a week
Headlining Cherry Bar, Saturday night, got reviewed by Beat Magazine, and I was on 3 weeks' notice.
Yeah. So if that can be done at this level, this can be pulled off much better than it was. Nikki's gone, Dave very cleverly added a drink prop. I shall steal this concept. So there we go.
Should I start something here?
Yeah, it's going to be fun now. Nicole has gone, did they not learn anything from Milli Vanilli? Apparently not. And Roy's gone, that would have been months.
But that's where it was worse because they weren't totally miming, which made it worse. Yeah. Because they were just out of time with each other as well.
Yeah.
If they were totally miming, they at least would have sounded okay, but they didn't sound good.
Yeah.
It just didn't come off. I don't know. I don't
know. Just missed solos, missed riffs, the drummer's out. It's just a mess.
Yeah.
Even without the whole backing track thing, it was just a really bad gig.
And just like the whole thing too, but you're leading into this. I mean, at what level of delusion need to be? There's no way they didn't have these fuck-ups in rehearsal. If they were, for that matter.
No, he got these musicians off Instagram. Just guys that sit in their bedroom playing the tracks. No, that's probably what they do. They play the CDs. Like, this is how fast I can shred this song. It's like, he looks good. I'll put him in my band. This will be a great Instagram.
Yeah, there's a difference between a bedroom musician and an actual musician.
Yeah, that's true. There's a big difference. And I think they all got caught out on this one.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. Nikki's gone, yes, but it appeared suddenly and seamlessly. Santa Cruz could have done that to him, didn't pull it off. This is true as well. Could have and should have. Nikki's gone, Tim, hit it. People pay money to see a quality rock show, not a failed mime attempt. This is good there as well. Dean says, bands like this need to be caught out. Very disappointing. They will lose fans and promoters. You'll think such a shame. I really like them as well. Here's another question from Dean too. Will they get asked to play the Whiskey again after that? I don't think the Whiskey want that kind of publicity, personally.
Not the whiskey, man. There's so much history there.
Yeah, it's weird. But then also said, I don't know what you gain from doing this. Probably sweet fuck all, to be blunt.
Mhm.
Andrew, good to see you over on YouTube. He's gone, I spoke to Dave Leslie during a break in his first gig with Raw Brit, had 30 days to perfect 30 songs. He nailed them all. And that's the thing.
Wow.
There's a difference between bedroom musician and the professional musician. So there we go. And there's Dean's gone, what Dave said about that he got them off Instagram. They don't care about the band. And that's a good point there as well. Off topic from Tony. Are you guys excited for Triptychon at Dark Mofo? Can't say I'm all over that. Is anyone else all over that one? Or
No, I noticed.
That's pretty cool though, because Dark Mofo's turned into a cool little thing.
Yeah.
It's good they've gotten somebody like Triptychon to go down. Yeah, it's very cool.
It sounds like a great concept. I'm not unfortunately all over it myself, but yeah, that sounds like a pretty cool fucking idea, to be honest. So there we go. Alrighty, let's move on. Let's get to a bit of sadder news here. I don't know how long we'll spend on this one, but which is unfortunate. But our condolences to Ken West's family, friends, and everyone that knew and loved him. If you don't know, Ken West was the founder of the Big Day Out here in Australia, and he passed away, I think it was last week from memory. And this was a bit of a shock, to be honest. And if you did do some research, from all reports, this guy was lovely all round. No one has a bad word to say about him. And he's left one hell of a mark on things as well. So it's again one of those things where we're getting a lot of these this year. Where it's a bit of a condolence note, and you say, yeah, sympathies to everyone that knew and loved, but at the same time, wow, he's left behind a fucking one hell of a legacy. Because we'll do the rounds, but just quickly, I don't think we get the other festivals we have today if the Big Day Out wasn't the success that it was.
Oh no.
Yeah. So, Tim, anything you'd like to say there?
Yeah, I went to my first Big Day Out in 2005 with System of a Down and Slipknot and a few other bands. And went to my last one, I think it was 2015.
Wow.
Which had the Hives and Primus and like the Deftones but it was a Ghost as well. Without it was the 1-2 punch of Triple J and the Big Day Out that kickstarted Australian music. Along with Channel V.
I think Channel V had a bit to do with that too back then.
Oh, yeah. And Channel V probably tied the whole thing together.
Yeah. Yep.
And Rage is the other one. I think that probably you go 1 and 2 with Triple J.
Mm-hmm.
They're massive for Australian music. I know there are tons of bands that got their opportunity, got their break by playing the Big Day Out. I know a few people who played at the Big Day Out and they had the time of their lives. Been to the festival a few times myself, and again, the first festival I went to was the Big Day Out. So very sad. It was also sad they didn't get to their 21st year's big swan song. Agree what they had planned for that. And they never really recovered from that after that, unfortunately. And it was a sad way that the festival ended, and sad to see Ken go. And it was also very touching to see. We've talked about before. Sometimes people die, and it's very much a obligatory message that people leave, and then sometimes people die, and there's a genuine outpouring. And this one, there was a genuine outpouring from a lot of people. So, condolences to his family and his friends, and thank you for the opportunities that you gave a lot of people, because with a lot of great bands that we all liked, that got their start through the Big Day Out.
Awesome. That's really well put, Tim. Nicely done there. What about you, Dave?
Yeah, I can't follow that.
It's hard.
I just remember, 95, when around the first time, 95, 96, I can't remember what it was, but if you're a fan of anything from metal to alternative, you were aware of the Big Day Out. And to the best of my knowledge, I was still very much a kid, but we never really had a festival like that before. Nothing on that scale. So it was definitely, as you said in the pre-speech to this, we wouldn't have what we have today. It wasn't for what was done with that. But I wasn't aware of who the guy was until he passed. I didn't know the name. But he definitely deserves some credit and respect for everything he's done for Australian music and for local bands. But it went for like 20, 21 years, and that went for a long time. It was
Yeah.
one of those yearly staples. But
Mm.
the amount of, I think even back in like hot metal, when that was still going in the 90s, it was always featured, always reviewed. But it was just such a staple of Australian music for the 90s and 2000s. But yeah, getting nostalgic. But yeah, as Tim said, condolences to his family and friends and people who knew him.
Yeah. It's funny. This is a bit of a bookmark because, you know, for those that have been paying attention, there's obviously a little bit of an age gap between Tim and myself and Dave. Dave and myself being close in age, Tim being a bit younger than us. And the remarkable thing that just happened there is that the first festival I went to was Big Day Out, and Tim had the same experience. The first festival he went to was Big Day Out. And that shows you in a really unique way just how enduring and important that it was in that regard as well. I remember the first band I saw at the first Big Day Out I went to was fucking Soulfly. Got straight into the fucking pit for Soulfly on their first album cycle. And Max Cavalera runs out going, "Happy birthday, Australia," and fucking there's launch. And I will never, ever forget that moment. I got to see Rammstein play at Big Day Out. I got to see they had that little blue tent where you had all the local bands. You had bands like Mudvayne as well in those little environments. But I saw an old band called The Wolves that I still love to this day. They ended up later on being one of the opening bands for Slipknot on Slipknot's first tour here. But I saw The Wolves and got their demo CD in the mosh pit for that one as well. And so those little enduring moments. I was there when Courtney Love and Hole were playing and no one gave a fuck about a set. They just wanted to see her flash her tits. And that was, a moment. Marilyn Manson went off his head on the Mechanical Animals cycle. All these...
When is Marilyn Manson doing a festival and not off his head?
Well, this is true, but it was kind of extra wild. I remember seeing Korn, and that was one of the biggest pits I've ever seen, like from front to back. This is, when Follow Leader was the biggest thing going around. And the whole thing was just a heaving sea of people jumping. And it was funny because the jump, if you watch the thing, you could see how sound traveled at different speed or got to different places in the crowd. And the crowd is doing that. It was fucking phenomenal to see. Like those things you don't see without being at these environments. And that's what was so cool about Big Day Out. It was all about, yes, the diversity was there too. And it also, for me, was one of the few times I felt like the quote-unquote local band competition was done well. Like, they actually listened to music, the band. They gave the local bands a good experience as well. Like, they didn't treat them like ring-ins. They actually treated them like part of the crew. They got to hang around the entire time backstage, go and meet and greet all their fucking, the bands they wanted to go and see and talk to and that. They were on early, but that gave them the rest of the time to go and see the bands they wanted to see. They got treated well.
That's where Soundwave fucked up.
Yeah, and AJ has a lot to answer for with the way it fucked over the end of Big Day Out as well. But that was a big mess too. But I just think that it's one hell of a legacy that's been left behind with that. And I genuinely do not believe we would have the music scene when it comes to live festival music in Australia without the success that was through.
I remember seeing an interview with Dino Cazares because they were talking about when Fear Factory trying to tour Australia.
Yep.
And he was like, look, the problem that we have with touring Australia is you can't come during the northern summer months is when they're busy touring the US and Europe. But the Fear Factory themselves can't come in the summer because they can't compete with the Big Day Out.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's the only reason we haven't come.
Yeah.
And it's like,
yeah.
And eventually I saw them with Soundwave, but again, it took them having to go to a Soundwave to tour Australia because I was just like, we can't compete with the festivals because the festivals are just too big there.
Well, I think for context, Rammstein went to that once. I think from memory they played here once since.
And that was also the Big Day Out.
Yeah. So
and I remember because there was I got offered a ticket and I knew the only band I wanted to see and I said no. This was a really shitty lineup that year.
Yeah.
And I still think I should have gone.
So that's.
But man, like I said, I remember there was the last time we went. It was in 2005, and I remember because it was also the thing of you go with your friends, you meet up with your friends.
Yeah.
And it was also, the friends that you didn't know were going, that you met at the start of the day, you just hung out with.
Yep.
And and it was just and there's always that one day. I can remember the last time the Hives were playing, and we're just like, okay, it's time to take a break from the pit.
Yeah.
And then two notes in, it's just like, oh, fuck it, let's go. And then you're fucked for a week, and your knees are sore, and you got heat exhaustion, and you're dehydrated. But it's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I miss those days.
Yeah. Such a
good
good
experience. The big day out, it wouldn't have happened.
Yeah. And even today, it's different. And I'm eternally grateful for what that did to the landscape of Australian music. So, again, our condolences to his family, friends, and all those that worked with him, loved and knew him. It sounds from all reports like he was a genuinely good human, on top of leaving behind a legacy that I don't think any of us will ever forget. So, a big thank you and well done, well played. And hopefully everyone that knew him and loved him is doing as well as they can in that news. But yeah, fucking fantastic. Thank you so much. That's all that can be really said about it. But yeah, there we go.
Man, I got a friend of mine.
Yeah.
Went to high school with him. And for the first time he ever saw Tame Impala was at the big day out.
Wow.
And they were like 15 years old on like stage 7 playing covers.
That's awesome.
And this was like 2007 or so.
Yep.
Kevin Parker now is like one of the biggest producers in the world.
Wow.
Like he did Lady Gaga's last album.
Wow. Okay.
So like when I say like these got people getting their start from the big day out, it's things like that.
Yeah. Yep. It was so well organized too. Like all the bullshit you hear about with other ones, you didn't have those problems at Big Day Out. No. It was actually really well done from top to bottom. But even like when Limp Bizkit pulled out, which makes sense, I'm not having a go on for that. But even just the way it was handled by the festival was really well done too. Like everything was done with a bit of class and a bit of tact, but while also having a bit of fun at the same time. It was just it was always good.
Yeah, there was some. I remember having some. When Rage Against the Machine played, there was some issues. That weren't their fault, but also could have been avoided. Like having the enclosed D.
Yeah.
For the pit was a problem.
Yeah.
But
But even organizationally, like they'd wear those things, learn from it, and move on. Like they'd actively engage with the people and the powers that be to make things better. It's a far cry with Soundwave later on. Even
Soundwave had the great heavy lineups, but just
piss poor organization. But let's not riff into that one. We'll be here all night alone if we keep going there. Dean has jumped in to say, such a shame, passed away in his sleep, condolences to his family and friends. Well put there. Nikki is on. Big That was an institution. First Gadinsky and now West, literal pioneers of our music fabric. This is very well put too as well. Dean says they need to bring a Big Day Out Fest again, even as a tribute to him, and hopefully that sparks something to start.
It's not going to happen.
Won't happen. Nice sentiment, but the market's too.
So you basically what happened is the festival went bankrupt.
Yeah.
Trying to get the 21st anniversary show happening.
Yeah. Then I got bought for $1, and then it's been shelved ever since. Which is fucking sad. Dean also said, only heard great things about the man, and also big holes in the Australian music industry are settling in. Gadinsky, Glenn Wheatley, and now Ken West. All the rest need to be wrapped in bubble wrap. It is an interesting year in that regard. We are copying it at the moment, or 12 months, I should say. Alrighty, let's get into the home stretch and do a few reviews. Let's go to the classic album first, because this is where we will leave Dave after he does this one with us, and Tim will be in the naughty corner. We'll get Tim just to hang around for a second here. No point kicking you out. We'll just sort of get you to sit here, unless you want to be kicked out and take a break. What do you want to do?
No, I'm good either way.
All right, cool. We'll leave you in. If you feel like taking a break, take a break. But in the comments, in the description box, there is a little track from a little band. There is AC/DC with Let There Be Rock. That is, you got that one out. Nice. That is the reference track and also the title track for our classic album review for this week. So this is AC/DC, Let There Be Rock, 8 tracks, 41 minutes, the 4th studio album from the Australian band. The Australian version was released March 1977 on Albert's Records, with a modified international edition being released on July 1977 by Atlantic Records. Produced by Harry Vander and George Young at Albert Studios in Sydney. 4 singles were released, including Whole Lotta Rosie and the title track. This came after they were almost dropped by Atlantic with Dirty Deeds. This album went to peak at number 154 in the US, number 17 in the UK, number 19 here in Australia, while also doing well in Europe and in New Zealand. It's been certified gold in 4 countries, including the UK, as well as 2 times platinum in the US and 5 times platinum here in Australia. This will be the band's last album with Mark Evans on bass, and this is, of course, this week's Patreon Choice album review. So if you want to get into the voting on that, you know what to do. Hit the link in the description box for our Patreon page. No matter what tier you're on, you get to vote on these weekly reviews we do as the classic album choices. So, Dave, over to you.
Yeah, I've always known it as this.
Yeah.
But Spotify have the American version with the Rhapsody in Blue is on the Australian release, and they got Problem Child, but we got that on Dirty Deeds. But I know that artwork from the Let There Be Rock soundtrack movie that came in the Bonfire one. So I've got both covers, but yeah, it fucking Americans confused the hell out of me. Anyway, yeah, this is an all-time classic rock and roll album, and certainly a standout in AC/DC's career. They already had a string of classic, fantastic albums, High Voltage, TNT, Dirty Deeds.
Yep.
Let There Be Rock just took everything to the next level. AC/DC got bigger and better and faster and louder. This has some of the tightest performances they laid to tape, but at the same time, there are parts that just sound loose. They make it sound easy, and as tight as it is, it's there's a feel that just makes it come natural. So it can be tight and loose at the same time, which sounds fucking ridiculous, but that's what I get.
Makes sense.
Yeah, tight and loose. You know a girl like that? That's cool. But the main riff to the title track, you don't get anyone writing like that anymore. It's just open chords with just how do you get an open chord to ring as much as you want and no more, and to keep that going? It can be so easily become a mess, but they just fucking nail it. And that song just has such a great build up in the instrumental section towards the solo, but you can do a hell of a lot with one note. And then it slowly moves into that 2-note melody in A, then it shifts it up to B, and they just do that little, Angus does that solo at the end, and then they shred motherfucker towards the end. But apparently Angus blew the amp up when they were recording that song, and they're like, that's what we're going to call the album. It's a little story I heard ages ago. The amp actually blew up, and they're like, yep, that's what the album's going to be called. But there's a reason why that song has been a staple of live shows ever since it was recorded. It's just a fucking great rock and roll track, man.
Yeah.
And the other big classic on this, Whole Lotta Rosie. You can't not smile as Bond tells you his story about the woman he knows. And if you ever heard the little audio clip of him telling you the story of when he was in a hotel room in Tasmania with this woman, and he had to go through with it because there was nowhere in the room he could go to get away from her. He had such a great sense of humor. It was fucking hilarious. But the composition of Whole Lotta Rosie, that start is just basic blues call and response, but it's blues on steroids, and it's a lot more steroids than what Zeppelin were doing just a few years earlier than what this was made. And it's something that's hard to remember that this was 1977, because it holds up so well 45 years later. And once again, Whole Lotta Rosie just has an amazing solo. It's just at any moment it could just break down, but Angus just has complete control. But it's loose. He's just, it's very hard to get that. You can't really study or train or practice to get that. It's just some natural feel that great guitar players have. I've got to highlight the song Overdose. It's overshadowed by so many massive live favorites, but it's just a nice little change of pace in the middle. It comes after Rhapsody in Blue, which is a bit more bluesy. And Overdose is kind of, it's got, in hindsight, a little bit of darkness to it, but at the time it kind of Bond's natural putting a quirky spin on his lifestyle. But it's a nice place in the album. It changes pace, but it's always a highlight for me. We always credit Bond and Angus. They're easily the stars of the band, but they couldn't do what they do if Malcolm didn't hold the fucking rhythm down. And he's always been the backdrop. He gets a lot more credit these days, but back then it was always the Angus and the Bond show, and then later the Brian and the Angus show. But like I said, they couldn't do what they do if they didn't have that. And of course, Mark Evans on bass and Phil Rudd on drums. They just bring plenty of swing and groove. This album rocks like a motherfucker, but it also swings as well.
Yeah.
Whoever said you can't hear a smile in someone's vocals, they need to listen to Bond on this album. You can just hear him smirk as he dishes out those double entendres and stories about his lifestyle, rock and roll, and he's just the basic Australian working class man. Anyone can relate to what he's telling. And decades, but like this was good call in 1977, 1987, people can still relate to it. 1997, 2007, maybe not these days because a lot of people are whining little bitches. And but if you're still a man and you're not a woke bitch, then you'll probably still enjoy this. 45 years later, this hasn't aged a bit. It's a beautifully recorded album. The guitar tone, the drums, the vocals, all captured and mixed really nicely. It's raw enough to have that rock energy, but it's clear so that everything can be heard. It's a very high contrast to do that, but they just nail it. I have listened to this album so many times throughout my life. Would have been fucking 9 maybe when I first heard it, 9 or 10. What was that? Something fell outside. Anyway, but as a little kid listening on a cassette, on a stereo or a copied cassette before I could buy my own original copy, or on a Walkman, and as a teenager getting the remastered CD, or these days on Spotify, whatever format you listen to it on, great songwriting and performances just shine through. I always thought that whenever I've heard this, it's like the band is right in the same room with me. It's just got that great live feel. It's a headphone album, a stereo, driving, a party, whatever. It just works. It suits all moods. But 9.5 out of 10. I could almost give it a 10, but fuck, Highway to Hell. I love that album. So fuck, how do you rate this band's music, man? But and I find it next to impossible to pick standouts on this because it's just one album you can listen to over and over again without skipping a beat. It's close to perfect as a rock album can get.
Nice. Well, for mine, there's nothing quite like an album that captures a band out to prove a point, and this is one of those. This is an all-time great album. They were pissed off after nearly being dropped by a label, and it shows, and they channeled that energy in just the right way. Bon, like you said before, if people say they can't hear a smirk in a vocal, listen to this. Like, Bon oozes attitude out of the speakers. His charisma is palpable. The opening track, Go Down, and his sarcasm, his snark, his attitude is just so damn prominent all across this record. But right from the opening moment to the very last one, it's just there all the way through. Around all that sort of stuff, you've, as always, got the classic blues-infused riffs here with a rhythm section that's just locked in on Phil, who really uses a beat like no other. I think Tim probably testified to this one better than I can, but Phil Rudd as a drummer is just a unique beast, and there are very, very few that do what he does when it comes to the manipulation of the backbeat. Fucking perfect. Yep, okay. Tim's giving it. This band, this unit have a groove unlike any other. There's great gear change. That swing, though, is consistent across the board. Like Dave said, that they rock fucking up, but this just swings like a motherfucker. It's so damn infectious from top to bottom. And on this one, it is the Bon and Angus show. The solos here are the attention equal or just as much grabbing your attention, I should say, as what Bon does with his vocal. The byplay, though, between those two parts, the lead vocal and the lead guitar, especially in tracks like Go Down, where, there's a peak and a crescendo coming, that was just so cleverly done, especially for the era. It was just so, it's something to behold. The way they worked together was brilliant. I also feel like for Angus's playing and his tone, there's something extra strident. Like they're putting this extra bit of effort into it because they're pissed off. There's this attitude in the guitar playing as well, which is Bond's bringing the humor and the snark. Angus is bringing the bite, and the rest of the band are bringing the platform for both of those things to just sort of launch from it and shine. There's fun in this, but there's also some grit, like, Dog Eat Dog kind of a track there. The lyrics are phenomenal across the entire album. And all of the songs on this are a bit more on the longer side. There's only one song under 4 minutes, but they all fly by, even the two longest in Let There Be Rock and Overdose, which both clock in at over 6 minutes, which is what you probably don't expect to think of AC/DC. But this shorter, quote-unquote, album, but the songs are longer. Can't fault the track order on this one, even if it is the American edition that I've gone with. It's incredibly well put together as a listen. It's so damn easy to repeat spin. And Let There Be Rock. That song is so fucking iconic. Between the video and the subject matter, it's actually, when you think about it, for that time, it was really far ahead of its time. Like that was. I love the pure irreverence, especially in the video. It's fantastic, and Bond's delivery is absolutely perfect. Nothing here is complicated, but again, in an era where there was a bit of this stuff going on, these guys always knew how to stand out from the pack. From whatever iteration they were going with, they always do that. And this is just one of those early ones that just keeps your attention and holds it all the way to today. Like Dave said, it hasn't aged badly at all. This still stands out. The mix is perfect. It's really captured the raw edge of these guys at the time, especially the bite of it all, especially in the guitar. But it's well balanced, great space. Like Dave said, you can hear absolutely everything. Nothing about this is punishing. There's enough warmth in the bottom end. Like when you get the bass leading tracks, that was really cool, nice and warm with the kick drum there too. It's really well rounded. No tricks on this one, just well captured, well presented. A band that's at the peak of their powers. Problem Child is one of my all-time favorite songs from this band. There's a bit of a personal note where it goes, and my mama hates me, and that's kind of one of those ones that I can relate to. But the attitude, the delivery, especially in that song, makes what could have been and probably would have been by any other band an immature song. It turns into something that's actually much more adult and has a lot better delivery overall. I think that just was, it's hard to pull that off, to make a song like that be a serious song, and they've done it. Overdose, like Dave mentioned, there's a nice slower touch on this. I love the darkness that brought to the album, and the closer that is Whole Lot of Rosie just leaves you wanting more. So there you go. All in all, if this was their response to almost being dropped by a label, you can see how and why they went on to completely conquer the world as a band after this. This is a stunningly good release, and it gets better as the years go by for me. It's vintage. It's not old. There's a definite difference, and this is an all-time classic for me. I am going to give it a 10 out of 10. I think it's fucking fantastic. Problem Child, Whole Lot of Rosie, and Let There Be Rock. If I had to pick 3 songs, would be my standouts on that one. Tim, did you have anything you wanted to try and add to this, or I'll go to the comments?
No, I think you covered it pretty well.
Yeah, I think we did. Both waffled there for a minute. Alrighty, Dean, as always, when it comes to this band, has the goods. So we'll go through some comments and we'll get Dave to put something in the bin, and then we'll let Dave get out of here, and Tim will bring it on home. So there we go. Dean says, love it, Dave. So he enjoys your review. Then January to February, 77 recording time, which was the only time that had before going back on the road for another grueling 8 to 10 months touring. Whole Lot of Rosie started as a B-side demo track called Dirty Eyes, and after the story with Bond sleeping with Rosie, he told Malcolm about it, and even though Malcolm was there that night as Rosie had another girl for Mel, but went home and they worked it out in 30 minutes. Next day in the studio, and Rosie was born, and the last track to record in one take, I believe. Nice. Hell Ain't a Bad Place to Be was not a deliberate attempt to be out of tune, but Vander Young kept it as added a certain rawness and captured the band live in the moment. Nice. Malcolm and Angus originally kept the songs short with lots of disco around. Malcolm decided to make an album with louder guitars, bigger solos, and take it to the max while sticking it up disco, even though it didn't get as much airplay anyway, apart from Rosie. It was originally intended to be released on 21st of March 77 in Australia, and on the Alberts Productions label. A modified international edition was released July 25, 1977 on Atlantic Records. Originally released on Atlantic Records, this edition has sold over 2 million copies in the United States alone. Wow, cool. Let There Be Rock was the last album to include bassist Mark Evans, who was later replaced by Cliff Williams with his debut on the album Power Age, which George Young had a hand at playing bass and helped his younger brothers with arrangements. The Australian cover features the fingers of guitarist Chris Turner from Australian band Buffalo. And from memory, I think when Angus saw the artwork, he goes, he's got fat fingers or something to that effect. The cover is the international version. The cover of the international version, released 25th July 77, marked the first appearance of the band's now iconic logo, designed by Gerard Huerta. And I think it's from a live show too, that photo. Oh, here we go. The photograph used for the international cover was taken at a concert 19th of March 77 at the Kursaal Ballroom in Southend, Essex, UK by rock photographer Keith Morris. International version included Problem Child, which was originally released on Dirty D's Done Dirt Cheap in 76. This is a shortened version of the original, missing the reprised coda. For the original vinyl release in all markets other than the US, Canada, and Japan, Crapsody in Blue was featured instead of Problem Child. Australia, 5 times platinum, 350,000. France, gold, 100,000. Germany, gold, 250,000. Spain, gold, 50,000. United Kingdom, gold, 100,000. United States, 2 times platinum with 2 million. All still going up in sales today. And the Australian version of the album included a song called Crapsody in Blue. A slightly shortened version of the song Problem Child replaced Crapsody in Blue in the international version, as well as switching places with Overdose. The video of Let There Be Rock in a church in Sydney was never planned until the band got there, and the crew never told the guy who owned it they were coming. They just asked if they could use it for the day. Okay, that's a cool one.
That's awesome.
And having been there when they filmed a clip in a church, I think that song and that video probably made churches a lot more cautious about things, because the one we did had to have a lot of approvals. Let There Be Rock video at the end when Bon jumps off the stand and lands on the floor in front of the band. He actually broke his ankle in the process, had to be taken to hospital, and simply masked alcohol for some Jack Daniels for the trip to the hospital while the band went back to the studio. And regarded as one of the top 50 heaviest albums of all time, despite Malcolm and Angus saying they were never a heavy band, we are a rock and roll band who plays very loud. And Dean goes, there you go. Bit more for you this time. And he's also added to rest in peace, Mal, Bon, and George. So very well done there, Dean.
Cheers, man. That was awesome.
Info. That was really cool. I did enjoy that one. Extra comments, though, quickly. BP has gone, no one beats Bon as a frontman. Absolute legend. That's very much up there. And thank you for joining us tonight as well. Good to see you again. Conrad's here saying, sorry I'm late. More than welcome. The more the merrier. Glad you're here. And Andrew says, I'm apparently only 4 years younger than Angus, and I just remember AC/DC being such a huge part of my adolescence through to my early years at uni. What an album this was. Bon was one of a kind. Very nicely put there, good sir. Good to see you as always. And Dean has got one more. During one of the songs, one of Angus's Marshall heads caught fire while recording, but George kept it rolling and didn't stop recording until the track was over. How great was the AC/DC Alberts connection? That was
nice.
Pristine. All righty. So, Dave, before we let you go, is there anything you'd like to put in the bin before we let you go?
Archie Cruz. He blocked me from the Santa Cruz page on Instagram, the bastard. He can't take some constructive feedback.
Yeah. What did you say?
Didn't say anything that bad. A lot of people were saying, fuck Eddie Trump, and he replied to somebody saying, donuts make you stupid or something. And I just replied saying, fuck bands who try to pass off lame tracks as a live performance.
Wow.
It wasn't that bad.
I think you hit a nerve for sure.
Yeah. Someone being a publicity stunt, hey? If it's a publicity stunt, that wouldn't bite, would it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just more for publicity, but apparently I upset him.
Wow. That's
If it was a publicity stunt, why would you release a video later saying, well, here's what I do live?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I mean, you're there, you can film it. There's obviously, different angles and that going around. You could have done a good job if you wanted to prove a point, but you didn't. And as such, the record stands, I guess. Fuck, I can't believe you got blocked for that.
I know. I've done so much worse.
I know. You've said much worse on camera than that.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't blocked you, so I don't know. That's weird, man. That's fucking weird.
Oh, I found it was funny. Like I said a few years ago, I was a massive Santa Cruz fan. I thought Archie does.
Yeah.
I will still say he's got a lot of talent. He's a talented guy. But yeah I guess I upset him.
Apparently so. Maybe do a check here and there to see when you are unblocked, if that ever happens. I'd be curious to see how that goes.
I'm still on the Facebook page. He hasn't blocked me from that, so I'll have to work on that.
There's your next target, Dave. All
right.
right.
Fans can get blocked from. All good.
Well, is there anything else you wanted to say here before we let you go?
All good. You guys enjoy the rest of the stream. And goodbye, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Awesome.
They're still here. I'm just going. Everyone else.
Yeah.
Bye.
All right. Cheers, man. Thanks for that. All right. Yeah, he's bolted. Cheers, Dave. Good to see you. Thanks for joining in again, as always. While he goes and gets some sleep, we're going to do a few more here, Tim, you and I. First up is the newest from Atomic Riot. The reference track for that is Dance with the Devil. It's in the description box. It's in the comments now. So go and check that out while we give you the latest on this one. So this is Atomic Riot with their self-titled debut album. 11 tracks, 42 minutes. The debut album, like I was saying, from the Melbourne band, released April 2022 independently. Produced by Chris Tamelko at Monolith Studios, mastered by Voya Milutinovic at Morava Audio. One single has been released, which is the reference track here in Dance with the Devil. This comes after an EP back in 2017. There's been a bit of a wait for this. People have been keen for this for quite some time. There's been a bit of hype with this group. So, Tim, did they live up to it?
Oh, yes, I think so.
Okay. Yep.
Look, it is what you would expect from Atomic Riot. It does that kind of, sunsetty kind of vibe.
Yeah.
And if you're not into that, I don't think it's going to change your mind. Having said that, if you are into it, there are some surprises in here that are going to keep things very interesting. So they don't sound like every other, band of this kind of genre.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there are some things that, some tropes that you would expect, like I think the guitar tone, pretty sticks out and whatever. But also like there was tricks like I think it's in is it Riding in the Night where you have that call and response thing in the chorus with that with the old track and all that, and then things like that. That just keep it interesting and keep it fresh as a listener. So I thought little ideas like that were good, but I think overall the songwriting quality is very good. I think there's some very good songs all over this album, and I think it's a very enjoyable listen. And if you're into this kind of music, you're going to enjoy it. So yeah, 8 out of 10 for mine, and Stone Sugar and Dance with the Devil, my two highlights.
Cool. Well, simply put, if you like it loaded with riffs, licks, and melody, you've come to the right place with this album. It's got loads of swagger, a lot of attitude in this one as well, big hooks and energy as well. And for the record, I think this does live up to the hype. It's been a long time coming, but this album does do enough to justify the wait. They've had to work for it, but they've got there in the end. When they settle into the groove on this, that's really cool. This is all about, that what you mentioned, the Sunset Strip kind of stuff that a lot of us here, either at the show or tuning in, will enjoy. But if you're a fan of anything from, say, Van Halen to Steel Panther, you're going to find something in this album to enjoy. That's the wheelhouse you're going for with this. There's some nice little quirky touches here and there with the heavily affected spoken vocal in things like Dance with the Devil and Warpath. They go well to give this band some character, which is nice on it. And each song has its own distinct flavor as well, which is really, really nice. So the bass open on Get Your Kicks is one example of that. The way that song sways is really damn cool as well. And there's plenty of flash in the solos. I mean, when you look at the lineup, you should expect the flash in the solos if you know this band and who's in it. That aspect was always going to be great, and the guitar tone is fucking killer on here too. And the lyrics are well done. I mean, this is one of those ones where the vocal has matched that too. And it's fun. It's got that tongue in cheek, but it's never stupid or too childish kind of thing either. They've walked the line of it all very, very well. It's well crafted, well written. There's a bit of gravel in this, which adds some grunt to it too. And, there's a great rhythm section in this too. I love the way the bass and the drums really accent just the right moments in the songs. Like there's the gear changing right into the night. That is a great example of that when the drums and the bass are used as really serious accent points. That was incredibly well done. Like I said, if you know the band, you knew there was always going to be a bit of a Van Halen influence on tracks. Flavor of the Month and Night Clappin' are two examples of that there. They're right up the Van Halen playbook kind of stuff there between the guitar and the vocals and the lyrics that is there. But I think it's not a rip-off. It's one of those things where they're wearing the influence but doing a fucking good job of, doing it their own way at the same time too. I thought it was a nice, touch to the album there. The tones and the mix are great on this. They suit the whole thing incredibly well. Chris Tamelko, you should expect no less by now. We sing his praises every time we hear anything from his studio, and this is no exception. I think this sounds great. The panning and the grit in this was what captured the way the guitars trade off in the space and all that sort of stuff was all incredibly well done. And there's great tones from top to bottom across this. The push and pull between it all is really smooth too, which is they could have done a lot of this could have been clunky and it just worked. It just went smoothly, which is just fantastic. And for what this style is, what it does, what it represents, and for the fun it's supposed to have along with, showing off some chops, they've just gotten all the finer details just right and made it very, very enjoyable listen that makes you nostalgic without feeling like it's a ripoff. It's hard to do, and they've done it incredibly well. The way the gang vocals were blended in on this too was just bang on. Like everything here was great. The sonics complement the gear change in the songs too. And this flies by. This is a really good, smooth listen. If you're a fan of the genre, this is going to be hard to go past. It's very, very well done. Nothing you haven't heard it before per se, but it doesn't need to reinvent the wheel. It seems to be well done and not come off as too try hard. And they have nailed that aspect of it completely. This will get stuck in your head. definitely get stuck in your head. It'll stay there. I think any and all fans of hard rock and metal can get something out of this. If you just like it, melody and guitar riffs, you're going to enjoy this one. I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. Get Your Kicks, Flavor of the Month, and Warpath are my standouts on this one. Get some comments. Nicole said bye, Dave, so I don't know if Dave sees this, but there you go. There's one for Dave. Bye, Dave. But Dean said, was a good release and debut from them. Job well done. So there we go. Some nice feedback there from the audience on that one. And another one here. Conrad said, are these Australian? Yes, Melbourne boys. So there you go, Conrad. Hopefully you're enjoying it there. Definitely from here. Been around for a few years too now, which is interesting.
Yeah.
All right. As always, time for the gear change. This is going to be interesting. It's a shame that Dave isn't here to give us his thoughts on this as well, because this is one of the ones that's probably more in his wheelhouse. But we'll see how we go with this one. This is Treat. And the reference track for this is Carolina Reaper. That's in the comments now. Just quickly, DV's going, hello. Yes, good to see you again, buddy. Glad you're keeping well out there. Thank you for joining us, as always. But yeah, the reference track now is Treat, Carolina Reaper. It's in the description box. It's in the comments. So go and check that out. While we give our thoughts on the new album from these guys. So this is Treat with The End Game. 12 tracks, 55 minutes, the 9th studio album from the Swedish band, released April 2022 via Frontiers. Produced by Peter Manson at Mir Studios, 2 singles have been released in home of the Brave and Carolina Reaper. This is a band that over the years we have spent some time on at the show, and they're always one to look forward to, and a special thanks to the label for sending this one through as well. This is a bit of a gear change, but at the same time, not a bad segue from the previous discussion there too. So how'd you go with this one, Tim?
I was going to say, because did we do a single from these guys a few weeks ago?
Maybe, yeah, Home of the Brave we did.
Okay, that makes sense. Because I remember as soon as I saw the name, thinking we've definitely done something of these recently.
Yeah.
And look, this is very much into the Euro rock thing.
Yeah.
And it does lean heavily into that, and it your opinion of it is going to be whether or not you like that kind of thing, because it's not quite as heavy as a band like Eclipse, but it's also not as synthy either. It sits right in that middle zone.
Yeah.
Which again, can go either way, because you got to nail it, and if you're going to sit in that middle zone in order to make it good. Now, I think sometimes they definitely have. There are some very good songs on here. I think Home of the Brave being one of them, and I think also Rabbit Hole was the other one I really enjoyed. Having said that, it also does get a little bit cheesy at points. Like Jesus from Hollywood does sound very... I've used the term here recently, but worship music-ish. That kind of cheesy stuff. So again, it is a little bit of a mixed bag in that regard. But having said that, when it's on, it's on. When they know it, when they want to turn it on, they are a very good band. And for the most part, there are a couple of weaker moments on here, but it is a very listenable album. And I think if you're into that kind of style of music, which, I mean, let's face it, a lot of people are, especially if you listen to this show, you're going to enjoy it. If you're not, it's not really going to change your mind. But, there's it's good enough for what it is. I mean, 9 albums deep at this point. I think they've got their fan base set out.
They've been around.
So, 7.5 out of 10. And as I said before, Rabbit Hole and Home of the Brave, my 2 highlights.
Okay, cool. Yeah, if you do know the band, this gives you exactly what you expect. It's melodic hard rock with, it's like what Tim said there though. It does have a bit more bite than a lot of the other bands do. Not as heavy as say an Eclipse does, but they do have more bite than a lot of other, especially for Frontiers. This one has a bit more aggression than a lot of those releases, which is a nice change of pace.
And it gets into it straight from the start too.
Yeah, it kicks off with a bang. My next note here is that this kicks off and closes. It kicks off and ends with bangs. Like the way this finishes and it begins and ends. Sorry, with the bookend tracks is fucking well done. There's a part there's some bits and pieces here and there that fall much more into what you expect of the genre too, which is where you might feel a bit tired of it at points, but at the same time, I don't think it ever loses that grunt aspect of what they do entirely at all. I think a lot of that has to do with the mix on this one. There's some really nice grit and some rumble on it. The harmonies and the keys aren't glossed to the shithouse like so many others are. And the vocals really fill up the mids because the guitars have just been pushed back a little bit. But it's not it's an interesting mix. The way it's been put together, the way to put the focus on the vocal, but still giving you a complete sound wall was just really well balanced. I like the way they pushed that through there. Not really any tricks to it per se, but it's just, the way the tone's been captured, the way it's been layered together. I don't know. There's some nice space. This one breathes really nicely too. It's a very pleasant, on the ear kind of a listen. And there's, just apart from that, some nice panning touches here and there to sort of bring some accent to different parts of different songs. There's little moments too that, like, there's a little laugh, which you'll hear in this track, this reference track. There's a laugh, a moment where there's a laugh in Carolina Reaper, and the reverb at the very end of the track, Magic. There's some little bits of attention to detail that just sort of show you that a lot of thought was put into the way this was mixed and produced. But I thought, it was done in such a way that there was attention to detail, but it doesn't make it so that it's dragging your attention forcibly to anything. It's just a really well balanced overall sound. Really solid riffs and solos on this one. The rhythm section for me was the fantastic element of this. I loved the use of space and how nothing was overplayed. They know how to not play a note, which is a nice touch for this style of music as well. I think the slower moments were well done too. There's still some nice pulse in those songs, but the more emotive side is well presented without being tacky to me. I understand what Tim's saying about it, but at the same time, I'm more into this genre of music than Tim is as well. So for me, this didn't have the same sort of tackiness that a lot of other releases have when it comes to this style. Credit where due, hooks and melody for days, and this Home of the Brave is such an earworm, which is why I can see why Tim picked it, because it just gets stuck in your head so fucking quickly. But the tempo, the mood shifts on this are well done. Both Ends Burning has a really nice mid-song change that in the middle of the album was a nice sort of shift in the way it was put together. But you get some different tastes in this one too. My Parade has a bit of country about it. Jesus from Hollywood, it's funny that you did the worship music, but I thought it almost had a bit of Ghost about it. Just something about it tonally, the way it was put together. Not as good as Ghost, don't get me wrong, but I just had that. It's just something about it just put me in mind of Ghost hearing it. But then you got to.
If you're I can see what you're saying, but
yeah,
What?
It's not a Ghost song, but there's just this thing about it. It might be recency bias, having listened to the album recently too, but there's just something about it that there's.
It's keys and high pitched vocals.
Yeah, and there's a certain tonality to the vocal. To the vocal tone shifted.
A certain Swedish to it.
Yeah, that's probably very true as well, to be honest. The track Dark to Light was a nice sort of darker touch on this one too, which is cool. Right near the end of the album was a nice touch. And I like the lyrics across the board here, and it was well executed. Just everything about it was well executed. And it was surprised when I thought, like I put my note near the beginning that, it does fall into some of the more soft and melodic moments, but at the same time, I enjoyed the energy on more repeat listens. That sort of stuck with me more, how just energetic it was across the board. It was more energetic than I actually expected. And it's more like melodic hard rock than pure AOR when it comes to those sorts of worlds. You could have trimmed a song or two off of it, but good luck picking which ones to cull, though. It's hard. But yeah, even if I think that if you're not normally into this style of music, there's enough here that it might be a bit of a gateway to you. I don't know if it'll change your mind or blow your mind or change your world kind of thing, but I just think it's one of those ones that might be a sneaky kind of a gateway. But it's one of those ones where the songs are so well written, performed, executed, all that sort of stuff that it will get stuck in you pretty quickly and it will stay there. One of those ones that for me could be a sneaky one come the end of the year, because my score could go higher because there's something about this one that keeps dragging me back to it. So make of that what you will. Gave this one an 8.5 out of 10 as well. I picked Freudian Slip, Rabbit Hole, and Dark to Light as my standouts on this one. But there's some cool ones in there too, like Symbiosis is a nice one as well for mine. Thought that was cool. Great. Yeah, and Carolina Reaper, I enjoy that one a lot too. So that's a cool little reference track as well. I got some comments. Here we go. Nicole's going, another old band doing great music, and that is very, very true of these guys. They have been around for quite some time. They had a breakup for a while, and then they got back together again. That's why it's only album number 9. They've been together in some way, shape, or form for about 30-plus years. One more review, and this one I'm pretty sure is much more in Tim's wheelhouse.
Oh, yeah.
So let's go out with a bang. Let's bring the heavy for the last review of this evening before we get to the bin and get out of here. This is the latest from Destruction, and the song as your reference track is Repent Your Sins. That is there as well. Sorry, DB's just jumped in saying, I was in Frankston just last week. Interesting place. What was interesting about Frankston for you, DB? Let us know.
Frankston's my town, man.
That's it, man. So you've got an expert with us here. So there we go. And Nicole is having a good old chuckle there saying, DB. So there we go. All righty. But for now, we're going to move on to the, hang on, will we or not? Conrad's going, stop falling asleep, Tim. Apparently you're yawning a bit there.
Oh, yeah, I'm tired as fuck.
Yeah, it's a bit like that. We are going to get through this one. Nicole has jumped in saying I was born in Franger. So there you go. We're getting a few things going on there as well. Alrighty. So yes, one more review. So in the comments in the description box is Destruction with Repent Your Sins. The band is Destruction. The album is Diabolical. And let's do the final review of tonight. This is Destruction with Diabolical. 13 tracks, 47 minutes, the 15th studio album from the German band, released April 2022 via Napalm Records, mixed and mastered by VO Pulver at Little Creek Studio in Switzerland. 3 singles have been released, including No Faith in Humanity and the title track. This comes about as the band celebrates their 40th anniversary, though it is their first since the final founding member, Mike Sifringer, was replaced by Martin Furia on guitar. So the final original member is out, and that is it for that with the new guitarist in this one. But Tim, this is what you like. How did you go?
Look, okay, so the final original member is out. Having said that, it still sounds exactly like Destruction. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. I've been listening to these guys now for 15 years or so, and they just put out, they are one of the premier thrash groups around. Yeah. They never put out a bad album, and for whatever reason, like, the American thrash bands get talked about more, but like the Destruction kicked the shit out of all of them.
There you go.
From consistency to, we talk about Testament. We talk about, they got good after this album, well, this album was better with this singer and all this, and well, do these fans deserve to be here? Like, Testament are better than all of them. They never put out a bad album, and this album is fucking stunning from start to finish. It's full of drama. It's heavy. It's catchy. It's got wonderful melodies all over it. It's also rhythmically very interesting. It builds very nicely. I mean, like, Hope Dies Last. What a fucking song, man.
Yeah, that's cool.
And from the intro as well, like just the way it starts up and it just builds and builds. It's from the opening track, and it just kicks your head in for the whole thing. And that's what I want when I listen to a thrash metal album. I don't want how do I put this? I don't want anything soft, man. I don't want too much melody. I don't want to be able to strip back a song and play it on an acoustic guitar, because then it's just a pop song to me. It's just a pop song with heavy guitars. I want to have your face ripped off, and that's what a good heavy metal track does. And that's what this album does. That's what Destruction do. And one of the most underrated bands around. This is the advantage of growing up in the torrent era. Because rather than having to save up to buy all the albums, we just got all the albums immediately for free and listen to the whole thing. So I consider myself lucky that I've heard, because I mean, this is the sort of band where if you've got a limited budget, you don't buy their albums. You buy Judas Priest albums and Anthrax albums, but unfortunately they're better than most of the bands, and they don't get the spot in JP. But yeah, it's fucking great. Even just epic titles, man.
Yeah. Yep.
Everything that you want from a great metal band. Love it from start to finish. 9.5 out of 10. This is probably going to be my top 10 for the end of the year.
Wow.
Took half a point off, God knows what, just to give me some wiggle room. And as I said before, Hope Dies Last, also Servant to the Beast, one of my favourite songs as well.
Yep.
Yeah, fucking great album.
Nice. Well, if you like your old school thrash, you're going to enjoy this one a lot. Suitably, this kicks off with a nice little instrumental introduction, and then it's straight into the riffs from start to finish. You've got all you want from this style of music, between the vocals, the wails, the harsh aggression in that regard, but then also you got, surprisingly, a much larger range on display vocally than you'd expect as well. This has a lot going on that front, but it's all very well done. Around that, you've got all the frantic and blistering riffs and drums you could possibly want. You've also got this wonderful element of groove, like Tim said, rhythmically very, very interesting, and that comes into play over this whole record from start to finish. that rhythmic approach, along with what you might find here a bit more of a melodic approach than you might expect, makes this a really engaging listen. Now, that's not to say this is anyway soft. It's full on, it's intense, and it's great. But just that use of melody between the touch of the vocals, the pitched sort of harshness, but then also the way they use melody in the guitar was really nicely done across this record. The way that engages you, but then you pay attention to the lyrics, and that's really sucks you in too. Like the lyrics are another element of this that's probably going to be overlooked, but I love the storytelling in these songs. I thought it was really well done. There's also some nice swing and sway in this. The offset timing between the guitar and the drums on tracks like Repent Your Sins. Fuck, that was great. That was awesome. That is just so attention-grabbing for me. But there's also, I don't know about what you thought of this, Tim, but I thought there was a real snap to this. Like the snare drum was up a bit higher in the mix than the kick drum was, and that just made this thing just snap. Like, did that grab you at all? Or?
Yeah, because the thing is as well, they spent most of their career as a three-piece as well.
Yeah, true.
So you need to use the drums to fill out sonically.
Yeah.
And they do that very well.
But that was just really cool. It also, the way it's been done between the performances and the production, there's a bit of a live vibe to it. Like it's not a live band, not a live recording. It's definitely been, studio, polished.
But they sound like, but that's again, like that's what a Destruction album sounds like.
Yeah.
It's got that, dudes in a room playing kind of vibe to it.
It's one of those things where, we're talking about, Santa Cruz earlier on, but, this is a band where that what you hear is what you're going to get live. Like, you can just feel it, you can hear it. Like, that intensity, the energy, the sound of it all, there's not going to be a huge shift from this to live. It's just going to be, you just feel it. Like, the execution is just bang on for that kind of style. The energy is fantastic across it. And the energy in the way the snare drives, it just really comes to the speakers really nicely on this album. I think the lead work is great, gets your attention. The way it's used really brings flash to the songs, but also how it was used in both shorter and longer bursts was a very clever trick on this one. So it'll help to break up, change the rhythm a bit, bring your attention to something else for a moment. It gave you moments to breathe that weren't really moments to breathe, if that makes sense. Like the energy is still there, the pulse is going, but you just get this, I don't know, it gave you a bit of headroom. Made it so it wasn't just a blunt force trauma the whole way through.
This is the thing, like I hate ballads on metal albums.
Yeah. Yep.
And because there's other ways to break things up without having to play a stupid ballad that sucks.
Yep. Yeah. Fair enough.
And this is how you do it.
Yeah. Also, the use of harmony in the solos, that was a good touch too. That was another way of breaking things up sonically for you as well. Like they did use those little tricks, very, very cool. There was other little tricks too. Like there's wails, there's bass leads, like even bass leads in this one. Lots of little things, a lot of little subtle gear changes well placed across this album. And once you're in for the ride, it doesn't let you up. It just holds you for the whole duration of the listen. And I think that the mix has a bit to do with that too. Like it helps to move this whole thing. The way that the snare being is up a bit more, and how the tones are a little bit sort of on the more raw side. They cut, but it brings that energy through the speakers for you as well. But the flip side is that it's well balanced. It's really, really well balanced, surprisingly so when you think about it. And there's some great use of panning, especially on things like the backing vocals to, again, bring your attention to something else in presentation. So when you got backing vocals that are being hard left and right panned along all this energy, it just is something that you don't quite expect. And you go, ooh, this is pretty cool. Along with that rhythm too, like just all these things seem to serve to accent the way this thing rhythmically moves across the album. It's just fucking well done.
But again, that's the other thing with being a three-piece is that, you know, you are more or less led by your drums as opposed to having a twin guitar attack. You can, there's more room to move.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. That's a good way to put it, actually. I think my final little notes here, like there's a nice touch with the track Tormented Soul being in the middle of the album. It's not an Oasis kind of a track, but there's something different in the groove and the tone, which is then followed up by Servant of the Beast, which almost has this sort of Voivod dissonance going on in it. Like that was, you get little touches of things you can call back to Voivod. You can call back to some Slayer kind of stuff in this. And this is really that amalgamation of all these thrash bands, but these guys are their own thing. But it's just like, this feels like a vintage classic, all-time great sort of thrash record if this is your style of music.
Back to a four piece for this lineup too. Actually,
yeah, they were. Yeah, you got Schmier, Furia, Black, and Eskich on this one.
Yeah.
But all in all, if you want fast, old school thrash, this and an album that still sounds very fresh for today as well. This has heaps of energy. Get onto this one; it's very, very well done. Another 8.5 out of 10, but it probably could go closer to a 9, to be honest. The Lonely Wolf, Repent Your Sins, and Last of a Dying Breed. Those 3 tracks really got my attention. The way the rhythm moved on those ones was cool, but I also liked a heap of other tracks across this one too. The closing track, cover City Baby Attacked by Rats, which is a GBH cover. That was a nice little touch at the very end of to wrap things up. It was a good little way to sort of polish things up there. But that was a very cool, nice, heavy album there. Did enjoy that one a lot. Got some comments. Let's see what we got here.
I'm glad we did that one because I've not seen all that much promo about it outside of us.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a quiet sort of soft drop, that one, but no, I enjoyed that thoroughly. Well worth checking out. And if you like your thrash, you're going to be hard pressed to go past that one this year. I think that's a
the creator just dropped a new single, so
yeah, that's coming too. It's a big year again. There's a lot going on.
Have you heard the creator single?
I haven't had a chance yet. No. So,
my god, great song.
That's cool. I will have to go and check that out as soon as possible. Don't let me forget. Make sure I go and check it out. Back onto Frankston for a second. Conrad's going, there is nothing remotely interesting about Frankston ever. So there we go.
Man, I once saw a pharmacist chase a guy chase a crackhead out of the pharmacy with an iron. Like a clothes iron.
Yeah.
Don't tell me there's nothing interesting in Frankston. There's plenty.
I know for a fact that I've done interesting things in Frankston. Not very legal things either, but and probably not what you're thinking. But yeah, there's always something going on.
I remember when seeing Cog in Frankston.
Wow, that'd be fun.
It was fucking awesome. And then the next day, we're at a barbecue with Lucius Borage.
Oh, cool.
And as drummers get together, as you do, and Lucius was just like, obviously he's from Byron Bay, he's never been to Frankston before. He's just like, very drunk, very early.
Yeah, that sounds about right, doesn't it? It does sound about right.
He was like, "Yeah, it sounds like Frankston."
Well, it's not boring. So there we go. Sally's here. Hey guys, I'm very late. It's all good. Glad you made it in the end. We are getting close to wrapping up.
One of the best gigs I've ever been to was Frankenbock at the Pally Bar, right?
That would be nuts, man. That would be cool.
No, but that was the thing. Like there was probably 30 people there.
But it goes
not really nuts at all, right? But it was one of those nights where just everybody knew each other. Everybody was there to have a good time. Just have a few drinks and just have fun. It was so much fun.
Yeah. That's cool.
Just had the best night.
Yeah, that's amazing. That would be fun. Seen a few bands Belly Bar, some big nights, some small ones, but yeah, that was cool.
Tons, man. Dream on Dreamer, the Red Shore, the Beards.
Yeah.
As I said, Frankenbach.
Sort of
Clowns I've seen there. The Bennies I've seen there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very cool little venue, that one. But anyway,
I've seen in the bigger room at the back. I've seen as Cog, Living End, Blue King Brown. Yeah.
There's heaps. I like how it's a little hub though there too. You always get bands going through there, which is cool.
Yeah, man. After work on Sundays, you head down to Liverpool Weird, or after work on Sunday, go down to Squire Brew House, or catch UFC, and then go home. Yeah. That was my Sunday.
Yeah, that works. Yeah. Cool. It's a bit far for me to go there.
Frankston Pub Corner.
Yeah. There aren't any places like that around here that I know of yet, but we've got all the bigger venues not far from us either, so it's a bit of a trade-off in that regard. Quickly here, Nicole's going, Destruction doing what they do best. So there we go, bring it back to the album there for a second.
Oh, yeah.
Conrad said, seen Destruction several times at Varkin, always solidly good, which is nice. Here's one for you, Tim. Tony says, I think Death Angel are better than Destruction. Saw them below Creator off the stage a few years ago.
Hey, Death Angel are fucking awesome too.
Yep.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Yep. What else we got? Nicole says, this has eternal detestation written all over it. So consistent. That's nice as well. And Andrew says, which is drummers getting together. When Tim says rhythmically interesting, I get interested. So there we go. Oh, sorry. Nicole said devastation. My apologies there. Nicole also said, no, play some ballads in thrash. So we're getting a lot of feedback on that one as well.
Oh, and, yeah. How power ballads do my head in.
Yeah, you're not a fan.
They all sound the same.
Here we go. Back to Frankston. DB says AC/DC played in Frankston. That's another one.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Okay, here's one. Andrew says my son saw someone get stabbed in Frankston. He was okay. Well, I'm glad he made it out. Okay, fucking no.
That's the other side of Frankston.
Yeah, that is.
But hey, man, I'm sure people get stabbed in Torak too.
They get well. What we had that thing at the festival in Sydney, or whatever it was the other night. That was
exactly. So
it's not a new
I
thing.
think it's just like.
To
be honest, there's a lot. To be honest, I'll tell you what I think it is. There's a lot of alternative types of people in Frankston. Can be very bohemian.
Yeah.
It also can be very. There's a different culture in Frankston to what there is everywhere else. And I think, and to be honest, we know it too. Like we can always tell when people are from Frankston, people aren't from Frankston. And I think, sometimes people go in with a predisposed image of what Frankston is, and then they see a bunch of, alternative looking people and they go, I knew it.
Yeah. But it's not all that. There's a lot there. There's a lot to like about Frankston for mine, just to go to bat for it a bit. Did live not too far from there for a few years, and so, never had a problem there myself personally. For all the talk I got, I never had a problem myself, ever. Nicole says, Desecrator and King Parrot at the Pelly Bar was awesome as well. That would have gone fucking... That'd be cool. But she also added, Rose Tattoo the Angels back at the local pub was way back when. And just onto the stabbing stuff there for a second, she's gone, that's the Pines side of Frankston, the stabbings. So there we go. That's
but really, man, but even the Pines, man, the Pines is what it is because, it's like it's a generational thing. People get a bad hand in life and fall into a cycle and can't get their way out of it through whatever means. So,
getting into socioeconomics now. One last one, just for Conrad to have a writer reply. AC/DC playing Frankston was the only thing worth mentioning about the place. Sell it to the North Koreans to do as much nuclear testing as they like. No, we need Tim, we need Nikki, we need those people around with us so we can keep them. Thank you.
Well, here's what I'll tell everybody, right? Here's what I always tell people, right?
Yeah.
If I go overseas and I'll tell people, okay, here's a photo from the top of Oliver's Hill looking down to Frankston.
Yep.
Over the top of the beach and everything. I'll tell you that's where I live. Tell me I live in fucking paradise.
Yeah, that's it.
And to you, man, everyone was in lockdown complaining every Saturday morning in lockdown. I was out walking my dog on the beach.
Yeah.
I was having a great time.
Yeah. There we go. Yeah, you were enjoying life in those moments. It wasn't bad at all for you.
There was no locals. There was no non-Frankston people around leaving all their rubbish everywhere.
That's true. Here's another one for Frankston love. Andrew says, I'm in Frankston too. Yes, we do. We got some people we love.
Andrew's in Frankston.
Yeah, got a few people in Frankston that we have a lot of time for, a lot of love for. So yes, we can keep Frankston on the map, I think, for now. Nicole says the Pines has changed heaps. She's also added 600,000 for a house in the Pines these days. Jesus Christ, there we go. But also with the stabbing, it wasn't at the Pines, it was at the station. We are getting way off base. Quickly though, Nicole says that view is the best. Tim, it always made me feel so blessed to be from there. And Nikki's old place.
That's it, man.
The two-story house Nikki used to have, the view she had was fucking fantastic as well. So there's
that's it, man. I mean, like I said, walk your dog at Frankston Beach on a Saturday morning. There's a fish chip truck there, and grab a coffee. Fucking.
Yep.
Oh, there's this new pub. There's this pub there now that is fucking awesome, man.
Okay.
Hard to stay away from. Hop House.
Okay.
Where near where Saviours used to be.
All right. Yep.
They got all the wanky beers there. It's great.
Yeah. Well, we used to go and have there were some nice little breakfast cafes and stuff out that side of town too. Like myself, the kids would all meet up and go and have that sort of brunch and stuff with Nikki actually, which was really nice to go to those places. Which was I always enjoyed that one.
And of course, you stop by the Mighty Old Cult while you're there.
Yeah, of course. Who are fantastic sponsors of ours. So, yes, a big thank you to them as well. So, go and check them out if you're in Frankston. DB's going, I'm from the Wild West. So, there we go. I'm from all over the joint. Andrew says, I technically have Bay views, not as good as what Nikki had. Yeah, they were pretty stunning, Nikki's views there. So, there we go. All righty. Let's do a wrap up. So, a big thank you, of course, to our fantastic sponsors, which you just mentioned. So, Squidding, Screen Printing, Alt Cult, and Rockstar Finance. Their details just like ours in the description box. So make sure you find them, give them a like, a follow, a share, a comment, all that sort of stuff. Get involved with them socially so it helps them get some reach out there, and we'll appreciate that ourselves here as well. And just like that, our details are in the description box as well. So find us on your preferred social media platform. Give us a like, a follow, a comment, interact with us when we do post things. That way you get to make sure that more of our stuff enters your feed more often and you keep up to date with us in the best way possible. A big shout out to some Patreon supporters here too from Omen here. So TC, Sonia, Lee, Bell, Conrad, got some other people here tonight, which is great to see. Jason, Brendan, 16x9, Marty Powell, Sam, Trash, Carolyn, Gwyneth, Andrew, Daniel, and the Mann family. Thank you all so much for your fantastic, fantastic support. If you would like to get involved in that, just like a few of us here tonight are, then please do hit the following link. It's in the description box if you need it, but it's also in the comments now to our Patreon page. Any level of access gets you things like voting on, classic album reviews every week and a whole lot of other stuff as well. Early access to stuff, exclusive access to stuff, updates on different music and that coming out too. There's a lot going on in that side of things, so please do check it out. And if you'd be so kind to give us some support there, that would help us out greatly. Just keep following us because a lot of stuff going on. Just make sure you're checking us out. And Thursday nights on Channel 44 in Adelaide and Saturday nights on Channel 31 in Melbourne. And we have a whole lot of cool stuff going on. I think Thursday's episode is Power Trios. No, that's coming up that's right. So this Thursday, so tomorrow night on Channel 44 is the second part of our Stephen Moore tribute. And then on Saturday in Melbourne, it's our Power Trio episode. So there's a lot of fun coming up on those two episodes for TV there, and then the Power Trio will be next Thursday on Channel 44 as well. For those that do want to get in touch with us, send us an email. That is the best way to do so. It's media@thehardrockshow.com. That is the best way to reach out to us. But I think that's kind of about it. I'll quickly go and check some comments as well here. So Nicole says, grew up on the Nepean Highway in Seaford, so I spent my life there until 5 years ago. Still know the old riffraff, which is nice there as well.
That's it, man.
Yep, that's it.
Well, one of my best friends grew up down around there.
Yes, BP. Sorry, the dollars option still no option here. Yes, I do apologize. I just haven't had a chance to sit down. I will try. I've got the long weekend coming up. I'll try and have that option sussed out for just the one-off donation kind of thing there as well. We do have a PayPal account which is linked in the description box if that does help you out in that regard. But that is there just in case you want to check that out as well. But yes. We'll be back again with the same usual stuff, same time and place next week on Wednesday night. So make sure you join us then for another live stream. And also, we'll have our relaunching of Deep Cuts, which this week is all about Arcane Saints. So we've got an album review and an interview with Tim and Mike from the band as well. That's coming up very, very soon. It's pre-recorded, but I'm going to go and piece it all together with the review and the interview and stuff. There's some great
there are things in there that would never have come out otherwise.
That interview is a lot of fun, man. I'm looking forward to getting that one out there in a few days. So that is very, very cool. Yeah, some of the commentary, like the stuff about a song you didn't like from Mike was quite something. I'm looking forward to getting it. There's a lot of fun in the interview. So it is coming, and we're going to, like I said, it's pre-recorded, but we will broadcast that via this platform. As though it's a live thing, though, it's pre-recorded. So, it hits the socials in the same way as everything else does at the same time. We'll also cut it up and release the standalone content too. So it is going to be coming out very, very soon for sure. So make sure you're following us. There's a lot going on. And that's about where we're getting to before we get to the bin. So on that note, let's get to it, Tim. What are you putting in the bin this glorious evening?
You know what? I avoid this stuff now. Having said that, Australian media.
Yes, I can fuck off.
I don't give a fuck if people don't know the unemployment rate.
Yep, I don't care either.
And I'm sure nobody else gives a fuck either.
Mm-hmm.
Or morning TVs. There are calls to no, there isn't. Shut up.
Yep.
Australians are divided, but no, they aren't. Shut up.
Yep.
Like just shut the fuck up. Like you're all useless.
Yeah. Yep. And I say this is someone working, quote unquote, in the media in this country. It's a fucking shit show.
Yeah. Amateur hour.
It is. It's badly
it's amateur hour. And there's a bunch of useless people that should have been sacked years ago that are sitting have failed upwards.
Yep.
And big fish in small ponds, basically.
Yeah.
And it's gotten to their heads, and they think they're fucking, running, the head of NBC when really they're just 7 News Australia.
Yep. And the owner of that network is the one that's fronting the cost for Ben Roberts-Smith defamation trial. We all know how well that's going if you're paying attention. That's a fucking...
Yeah.
My God. What a fucking spectacular own goal that's turning out to be. God.
And we all saw it coming too.
Yeah, he's going to get prosecuted on the back of this. He's going to fuck himself right over, and deservedly so, to be fair. No, I completely agree, Tim. The media in this country can definitely get in there and stay in there too. And
having said that, here's a fun one. LeBron James.
Yeah. Okay.
The Lakers should have had a title this year, and instead they decided to bring in a guy who, he's old, but he has production in Russell Westbrook, and then he did exactly what Russell Westbrook does, which is drive, get 20 points and a few assists per game, and they didn't like it, and then everybody else got injured, and then because they traded away all their And unfortunately for everybody else, I mean, it's not Cleveland, it's not Miami where he's bigger than the brand. It's the Lakers. You can't bully the Lakers around. It's going to fuck him off.
Yep. That's it. Yep.
They got rid of Shaq, man. You got to get rid of LeBron anytime.
Yep. I do say it is slightly satisfying as a Nuggets fan, though, to see that happen this year. If that makes sense. It's, cool.
Oh, man. It's falling apart worse than his hairline.
That's cool. Yes, I will agree with you in the media, especially their constant their constant defense of their shit actions, if that makes sense. Like they just don't get it. Like they get slammed.
You know what? We treat sports better than we treat everybody else, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So we have our team, we all have our sports teams, right?
Yep.
I was like, these are the values that we stick by, and if somebody in that team fucks up, we go fuck them off.
Yeah.
Whereas when it comes to media, when it comes to politics, it's like we've got our teams, but when somebody fucks up, we defend the fuck up.
Yeah, and we hide it as much as we can too, like distract and go to the
It's like, no, you get your policies through. That's the important thing. People fuck up, fuck them off.
Yep. I'm all for that. Meritocracy. It works. My actual bin, which is it's getting worse. Shit drivers on the road. Now, I've had a couple of instances the last week alone where I've literally had to stop because someone is so shit at driving in their car, they are in the middle of the goddamn road. In the middle. So you can't get around either side. They're just smack bang in the fucking middle, driving like as slow as what we Miss Daisy kind of shit. And then they're fucking, I better get out of your way. It's like, yeah, you better fucking better because your car's a lot smaller than mine. Fuck off. And if you can't drive those little fucking things, you got no hope. Like, there are some people that really, really should not be on the roads, and there's a lot of them, and they can get in the bin. But for a more fun one, being the sports side of things as well, the Kansas City Chiefs fan base losing their mind over trading away Tyreek Hill. Don't get me wrong, it's a big loss. I understand it. But at the same time, this is the same people that brought us Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and so many others. I trust the process that they'll bring in what we need.
I feel like they're going, okay, there are probably going to be teams better than us for the next 2 years.
Yeah.
So let's get what stock that we can now and build for, 2025.
Yeah. And then you'll have...
Because Mahomes and Kelce are still going to be guns by then anyway.
Yeah. And
so, I feel like that's what they're doing.
if you take and the thing is too that when it comes down to the greater scheme of things, if you follow the American sports, the AFC West has just had a massive arms race. The Chiefs have sort of set back a bit and just got a whole lot of draft haul picks, which when you understand how the salary cap works, it's going to put us in a great salary cap position in 2 to 3 years where we'll start buying all the talent and they can't afford it anymore. So
that's what I mean. I feel like they're going, okay, well, the Rams and there's going to be a few teams, vying for that title, vying for a Super Bowl the next couple of years.
Yep.
They're probably just a little bit short of that. They're going, okay, well, who's the good bait?
Yep.
Yeah.
And we got a lot for
which
him.
is good
too.
management in the end. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you've got a salary cap league with a draft pick league.
Yep.
That's just good management.
Yep. I'm okay with it. I get it. I woke up to that trade and I'm like, oh fuck, they did it. But at the same time, well, no one's safe and it's all at the team first. And that's what it should be, especially when you got Mahomes at the quarterback. Whatever he needs.
Mate, at the end of the day, it's the NFL. You build around the quarterback.
Yep. And it's not for long too. Nothing is for long in the NFL. But I'm enjoying it for now. We'll see what happens over the next season. But I'm looking forward to it already. Draft is soon. That'll be I think it's next week actually. So that's going to be cool.
Yeah.
All right. Yes. BP is saying prog show. We are in the works with things like that. Don't worry. You'll see those things coming through the works as well. Andrew's giving us the horns and a drink there as well, which is nice. Rowan says Australian media. Yes, indeed. You can get in the bin. And Nicole too. There are much better things to worry about than statistics. I agree with that completely. I'd rather have a contest of ideas. Thank you. Adam Bant's statement today was actually well put. I don't agree with him on a lot of things, but I agree with him today. Sally says, absolutely, morning TV is stupid crud. Every channel is rubbish. Oh, here we go. Rowan says the same thing. Adam Bant's response to an attempted gotcha question at the press club today was great. That's nice there as well. Nicole says, journalists who don't understand English prose in the bin. And Nicole says, tourists from Queensland. So there we go. That's probably where they're coming from, but I don't know. And DB says the bin is just full of people. Everyone should just jump in. Us first, of course.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, I find human contact repulsive.
Everyone's sweaty in the bin there.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I know you're kidding. But I think that's it. I think we've done the stint. Is there anything else you want to add before we move on here, Tim? Or are
let's get out of here.
Let's get out.
I'm tired.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for tuning in. Here we go. Rowan's quickly. 76% of people agree that statistics are not worth worrying about. Well put. So
yeah.
There we go. I think the highlight of the night was Dave with his pre-recorded backing track.
Oh, that was brilliant.
That was wonderful. If you've missed it, go back and watch it because the video stays up online. So go and check that out. It's near about probably midway through the episode. But that'll do for tonight. That is the highlight of this evening. We'll see you all again very, very soon. Until next time, though, I'm Andrew.
Tim.
Look after yourselves. And as always,
drink up
and rock on.